Ladies and gentlemen, this is it. This is the big one, because we are covering The Day of the Doctor, the 50th anniversary special from 2013. And to discuss it, I've got not one, not two, but three guests with me. So let's go ahead and introduce them. Firstly, to my virtual left, he looks at my indifference to his mirror jokes and he declares, "No more! It's FreezingInferno."
That's a good one.
That is a good one.
I'm glad you like it. To my virtual right, she brings the darkness, she is the thunder, she comes from hell and she'll pull you under. It's ConcaveUsurper, better known as Cat.
I like that. Can that be mine from now on?
What, just
that's
permanently?
perfect. Yeah.
Okay. And lastly, but by no means leastly, our virtual special guest. She's a meme now. Memes are cool. It's Christa Mactíre.
Hey!
Yeah, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on, Christa, and thank you for agreeing to take part in this madness.
It's wonderful to be here.
We're sorry in advance.
Wait, hang on. It says here you wrote a book or something?
Yeah, I mean, I've never heard of this book. Maybe you should talk about it right now.
Well, let's see. There is this book I know of. Who wrote this? Oh, that's right. It was me. It's called Back to the 11th Hour, and I wrote it last year to celebrate the 10th anniversary of Series 5. And it's available now on Amazon. These three have been plugging it since it came out last October, and I'm very happy that they did. So, if you haven't bought your copy already, you can buy it on Amazon.
Yep.
It's a really good book. I really liked it, and also I'm in it.
Yeah. And also a really good suggestion, if you go to Amazon.smile instead of just regular Amazon.com, you can also take that opportunity to choose a charity of your own for Amazon to donate to some of the funds to. I always choose the Trevor Project personally, but you can absolutely choose another one, including, any sort of trans advocates, any sort of, LGBT, whatever you might like. And honestly, it's a wonderful service.
Excellent.
Also, it takes some money out of Jeff Bezos' pocket, so screw you, Jeff.
Good. Now we're talking on the virtual left.
Magical.
Yes, I feel like the virtual centre ground is going to be somewhat overwhelmed this week, so I may just have to keep quiet for a while.
Well,
as a disclaimer, before we begin, I have something I would like to say. In this, so first off, technically we've already done Day of the Doctor. However, that was Rainiac on his own, just doing that by himself. So this is sort of an after everything else has happened version of our review. So we're going to have some different opinions, possibly have some different opinions just based off of everything that we've seen so far. And something I would like to say is we are aware that this is quote unquote just a TV show. This is just something that airs on TV. It's meant for entertainment. People are supposed to have fun with it. Having said that, however, we also need to remember that this is not just a TV show for some people. There are people who have been touched by certain aspects of this show. Seeing any of the doctors, maybe they came in and they made a community with people who they wouldn't have met before if they didn't have this. Like, I wouldn't know these two idiots if they weren't, for Doctor Who, and I never would have read Krista's amazing book if I wasn't into Doctor Who. So there is a community around this that's more than, like the Tumblr people who rave and, rant and Super Who Lock and all that. There's also the people who they come in and they just love this show. And I'm trying not to get emotional because all I'm thinking about is now we have to deal with what happens in this special, knowing what Chris Chibnall has done to the show. So there is going to be some ranting and raving. Again, remember, we know it's just a TV show, but this is something that is so important to all of us.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well said.
Very well said. Mm-hmm. And also, it's quite special for us as well, because in many ways, this is the episode that actually gave birth to the Doctor Who Reviews podcast in its current form.
Yep.
It came about because Kashiri said, well, you really should have got other people, and instead of just as I'm talking about the 50th anniversary, I was like, yeah, you're right. So next time I do one, we'll get you and Jerry on board, and then Kat came on board, and the show was it took off as it was.
Yes.
Well, yeah. It never took off, but you know what I mean.
Well, we had a lot of fun with it, is what you mean.
It took off like Flappy Bird, but instead of actually going, it just plummeted.
So yeah, this is a very hugely important story / special for Doctor Who as a whole, for many different reasons that we're going to discuss at length.
Oh yeah.
And for some of us, it's a little more important.
Yes. I don't really have any background information on the production or anything, so I think we just get into it.
Yeah, and we open with, fittingly, the original 1963 intro.
Oh.
So you got the cop walking along. You got the I Am Foreman sign. You got Coal Hill School. Yeah. Going back to that mythology.
And I guess we should let the elephant out of the room. We also cut to Frez's girl, Clara Oswald.
Yes.
I really like the choice of quote that she ends her class with. That is not just the special, but I think the Capaldi years as a whole summed up in 2 sentences.
Yeah.
Yep. Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one.
Yeah. And of course that hits with me because of, ancient history.
Yeah.
I always like those bits.
And then Chris Chibnall came in and fucked it up.
Okay, we got to put a pin in the Chibnall stuff for when it really fucking matters.
Yeah.
I know, but still.
I know it's hard. I know you got a lot to say.
Just hold it in a little bit.
We got to spare it. We got to have a deluge. We can't let the air out of the helium balloon,
Yeah.
So
you can do it, Kat. I believe in you.
Do it. You can do it.
Yes,
I am strong. I am powerful. I'm not going to bring angry crying about this.
Kat, it's fine. You've got an emotional support wolf to help you now, so.
Yeah.
You can do it.
So we cut from Clara in her classroom. She gets a call from the doctor, heads out on her motorbike to the TARDIS. It's a lovely little reunion. At no point does it actually explain how they got out of the predicament of the previous episode. But that's fine. Yep. You can pull like a master. They escaped.
Yeah, and actually there's an instance during this sequence of mirroring for you, Frez.
Ooh.
So you may remember that there was a time where there was a person called River Song. And I think it was in the very first episode that she met the doctor.
That would be
maybe the second part of it, where she said something about how one day the doctor would be the kind of person where he snaps and the doors of the TARDIS will open.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
And then Clara enters the TARDIS and snaps her fingers and the doors to the TARDIS close.
Beautiful. And that does call for a Doctor Who mirror alert.
And a million angry people in the fandom
already the doctor and the TARDIS knows it.
Sorry, I talked over you, Krista. Go again.
She's already the doctor and the TARDIS knows it.
Hell yeah!
And are you saying that? A million angry voices cried out at once and was suddenly silenced in the fandom.
Meanwhile, here I am, just like...
not going to think about it, not going to think about it, not going to think about it, not going to think about it. So let's continue on.
Yeah, please
Oh
do.
hey, a giant crane on a helicopter takes the TARDIS out. There you go.
All I
How's
can
that for a
think-
segue?
All I could think about watching this was the claw chooses who will go and who will stay. Oh, jeez.
As it turns out, it's a unit led by Kate Lethbridge-Stewart, bringing the Doctor in for a case, as it were. We also get the introduction of Unit's favorite fangirl, Osgood.
Yay! I love Osgood.
Mm-hmm.
That was such a joyous fangirlish scream. I liked it. Well, less a scream and more of a squeal, but you know what I mean. Very, just good energy.
I love Osgood.
Yeah. Would you
I just
say
love her.
It is
that,
wonderful.
would you say, Christa, that she's a kind of an insert of a Doctor Who fan?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. Agreed.
But
We
she
get
is
some-
wonderful.
We get some goofing around with, Matt Smith hanging from the TARDIS as the credits roll. Which, you want to talk mirror alerts and Clara being the Doctor, they go back to that well with a Face the Raven,
Yeah.
and it's Clara who does it this time, so, hey, how about that? Well, once we get into the actual story itself, we're in the London Under Gallery, and there's some shit going down, and we have sealed orders from Queen Elizabeth I and her credentials, which turns out to be 3D painting.
Ugh, the effect on the painting is just fantastic. It's like, at first you just see the flat painting as it is, but as Clara approaches it, the camera slowly pans and you see deeper into the painting. It's beautiful.
If I
Did anyone
recall,
get
I
to
think-
see the 3D version when this
Yeah,
was in theaters?
I never.
Sadly,
No,
no.
unfortunately.
It's okay, I didn't either. But the effect still comes through really well.
It does.
I love
can
that
imagine.
fake out just then, Christa. You're like, well,
Hey, y'all see it in theaters? Yeah, me neither.
that's like Tim Curry and Clue. Can you keep a secret? Of course, me too.
Oh, I gotta watch that movie again. I just found out I get it for free.
Yes,
on
you
Amazon
have got to
Prime.
watch that film again. Everyone should watch Clue at least once.
Yes.
I love Clue.
But yes, we have this painting here, and it is the Gallifreyan city of Arcadia on the last day of the Time War. And Kate is talked to the Doctor and says that this painting technically has two names. Nobody's sure exactly which one is the correct one. So we have No More or Gallifrey Falls. However, the Doctor points out that this isn't just a painting. This is literally a slice of frozen time. So this is actually the last day of the Time War. So he's very disturbed by this because obviously, everything that we know with how he did something during the Time War that caused all of the the Time Lords to just be gone now.
See that plan come into motion as we hit a flashback involving the mysterious Doctor that, as of the airing, we had no idea what the deal with John Hurt was.
Well,
Like-
we had some idea because Night of the Doctor premiered before this,
Well,
didn't it?
yeah, not. Oh, yeah. I guess that helped clarify it. But
Yeah.
I remember,
Yeah.
for most of the summer and the fall until that dropped, we really had no idea who John Hurt was or what the deal was. Is he an alternate
It's like
Doctor?
we knew he was called the War Doctor, and we knew what we knew from Night, but that's about it.
I don't even know if we had the War Doctor part. I can't
No,
remember.
he's named the War Doctor at the end of Night.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it was not Night, but the previous episode before this, they had a bit at the end where the Doctor's
Name
being
of
all
Doctor?
dramatic and saying he's the Doctor or he's the one that we never talk about, and they put up a little placard that says next time, or I think it says next time, John Hurt as the War Doctor.
Not quite. It says introducing John Hurt as the Doctor.
That's the one.
Called
and
him
then the War
8.5
Doctor.
for the whole summer.
Yeah. the War Doctor's not revealed name-wise until Night of the Doctor.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
So we go into a big extended flashback of the last day of the Time War. Now, there's been a lot of complaint about this in particular, how the Time War has been portrayed as this, undepictable war that should be involving shifting timelines and other weird gonzo weapons. And instead, what we get is basically just a Star Wars battle between Daleks and Time Lords. Bang, bang, boom, lasers and all that. The headcanon I ascribe to is the theory that this is the last day of the Time War, and they've thrown all their quasi-dimensional weapons at each other, and now they're reduced to the level of lasers.
I mean, that's pretty much what they say later in the episode, where the Time Lords are like, we've used every single forbidden weapon that's in the vault, except one.
Yeah, so the episode itself lends credence to that, I think.
Yeah.
Like how in Genesis of the Daleks, the opening shot of Skaro, and you have the weapons going from more modern for the 70s weapons going down to bows and arrows.
Yeah. They pull that in Magician's Apprentice, the first Series 9.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they do that sort of trick too.
Gallifrey is getting its Skaro moment.
Which makes sense considering it's being besieged by Daleks.
Yeah. Or while glorious Murray Gold music is playing. I'm sorry, I couldn't hold it in any longer.
All right, no, you don't need to put a pin in it, Rainiac.
No, go ahead.
Well, one thing I love about The Day of the Doctor, one of many things, is how they use the musical score almost as a glorious homage to the last, what would it be at this point, 8 years of modern Doctor Who. So we have lots of different songs from the past returning and used beautifully. So here you've got the Dark and Endless Dalek Night from Series 4, transitioning into Words Wind Wars from Series 5 and 6. And they don't do this for a lot of the other modern episodes. They do reuse some tracks, but they often use like one main soundtrack which they then release for each series. But here they call back to the past. There is some original music as well, but yeah, I just love it. It just makes it far more epic.
So it's Murray Gold's greatest hits.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a treat for you then.
Oh yeah.
Especially since it's been literal years since we've actually gotten to talk about Murray Gold.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful throwback
I had it
for you.
bottled up for about 4 years.
Oh, geez. Like I said, there's something for everybody in this.
Yeah.
Looking ahead here, but I like the brief quotation of Westminster Bridge that plays while Ken is running around freaking out about how he may have just contaminated the timeline by kissing Elizabeth I.
Christy, you can come on here more often.
You talked about the music. You won him over.
Because you're absolutely right.
Oh, God. So, John Hurt's Doctor, well, we'll call him Doctor. Doctor, the War Doctor, as he is called, shows up, and he asks for a soldier's gun, and he shoots the words "No more" on a wall as a bunch of Daleks are about to exterminate an innocent Time Lord family. And then we get, and we do this, we've done this a bunch of stories where this has shown up. The War Doctor's TARDIS Kool-Aid Man's through the wall and wrecks the Daleks.
He came in like a wrecking ball.
I mean, it does. You can absolutely use that reference. I'm fine with that.
So good. And it's at this point we get the War Council, I think it's called.
This says the High Commanders, but it's the TARDIS wiki, so who knows at this point?
Oh,
not
yes.
truly villainous.
It's the
Not truly villainous.
It's the War Council of Gallifrey. I think you'll find it's the War Council. They're all soldiers, is the point.
Yeah. So, and this actually does tie into, believe it or not, David Tennant's finale, because you remember there, Rassilon, is played by Timothy Dalton, had his own plan to win the Time War by ascending to a new reality.
Yeah.
But they have a throwaway line where the War Council or High Command, whatever, mentioned that the High Council has their own gut plans, and they're like, "Oh, the hell with the High Council! We got a war to win." So they get a little nod there. So they're
I
off
just
doing
imagine like a back room meeting with Stephen Moffat going, "Bad news, Mr. Moffat, sir. I'm afraid Tony Dalton says he's not going to appear in this episode." Oh shit, we need to write him out. Oh, one line of dialogue will do it.
I mean, it does it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I don't miss him. Do you?
Not really.
Mm.
He's great at the end of time, but that was the end of time. He doesn't have to come back.
I liked him in Hellbent.
Yeah, and I mean, by Hellbent, it's just a completely different guy. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
anyway, we get an alert, and it turns out that the War Doctor has stolen the last remaining weapon in the Gallifrey weapons archive, the Moment. Sentient weapon with a conscience that can destroy everything, but also it'll judge you for it. But the Doctor being the Doctor.
Also,
Yeah.
can I say, whoever did the write-up for the TARDIS Wiki synopsis of the Day of the Doctor really went into it, because it literally says here, footsteps can be seen leading away from the battle-scuffed frame of the TARDIS, which has been uncharacteristically abandoned by the Doctor.
Wow.
Hmm.
Yeah, someone thought they were writing the novel, I guess.
Someone went hard on this.
Well, but yeah, he's left the TARDIS out in the middle of the Gallifreyan desert and wanders for miles until he reaches an old barn, which I guess retroactively turns out to be the barn from Hyde and Hellbent. Not Hyde, listen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, I thought that was on Gallifrey, that he was, doing the whole Hyde thing. And, crap.
You mean listen?
The episode that you just said that I can't remember now.
Listen. Monster under the bed.
Listen, cat. Listen.
No, not that. Hellbent. The one in Hellbent is literally on the planet Gallifrey, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Hellbent's on Gallifrey.
Okay.
Okay, I thought on airing he went to a completely different planet to do it too.
Yeah, I did too. And then like later on, I saw the same building. It was on Gallifrey. It's like, oh.
It's like
That's
retroactively like an okay.
Yeah.
So the War Doctor has this box, the Moment, wondering how to activate it, and all of a sudden we get a special guest.
Yes, we get a special guest by this fantastic looking box. Seriously, who built that prop? That's fantastic, and I love it. Because I've actually been watching videos recently of a guy who does puzzle boxes, and he has some beautiful ones, just beautiful. And
Very,
just
very good.
the production design on the Moment is fantastic.
It is a great looking
Also,
prop.
Billie Piper's here.
Oh yeah.
She is a great looking prop.
Rain!
I'm joking.
Brett!
I'm joking. Oh,
Box.
you know I've screwed up when you're using my real name. Yeah,
Bront! Come
it
on!
was only a joke. It's only a joke.
Dante.
What are we going to do with you?
Donations.
Well, it's taken me 6 years, but I finally been cancelled. Good night, everybody.
Wow.
Anyways, back to the main prop of the episode.
Oh, when you
What
do
we
it,
have-
it's fine. When you do it, it's okay.
I'm just doubling down on it. Who gives a shit anymore? So this is not Rose Tyler. This is the consciousness of the Moment itself, come to life in a form that is from the Doctor's past, but obviously isn't. She's just a little confused at this moment. But she does know that she goes by one name. And that's Bad Wolf.
Chris is a good wolf.
And now she's mirroring Rose?
Fuck.
Keeping the tropes alive?
I guess. But I do love this scene.
It's good.
I love the fact it's got like the War Doctor in the desert sand. It's got a real Wild West vibe to it.
they definitely double down on in Hellbent.
They definitely do, yeah.
And I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to talk about how the moment said that the TARDIS was parked far away so that the TARDIS wouldn't witness this. That means that the TARDIS is alive.
Hold it
not
in.
going to say it.
Hold it in.
Okay. That you can poke at.
I'm fine.
Do you need a moment?
No, we have one already.
Yes, I played you in
I
beautifully.
mean, we do not have a moment. Christa, hide the box. No idea what you're on about. Hey, look, it's Bad Wolf. Let's talk about her.
Yeah. Sorry. Yes, let's talk about.
So at first, the scene is played for comedy. It's just like John Hurt doesn't realize this is not just a random lady annoying him, and is actually the sentient consciousness of the moment. But then it gets a little dark, as John Hurt lays out what the War Doctor wants to do. It's just the war's gone on too long. It has to end, and he intends to use the moment to blast the Daleks and Time Lords away. So we get some poignant stuff here, where he says he has no desire to live through this, and Bad Wolf simply says, "That's your punishment then. If you do this, you're going to be the only one left alive." And we also get the wonderful "How many children are on Gallifrey right now" motif, which is chilling and will come up later in the episode.
Yeah, Chibnall. How many? I'm fine.
Yeah, but I actually got to use it for some writing of my own as just a precursor of thematic stuff involving, the whole doing one terrible thing for a greater good. Yeah. In that regard, it's a very good opening to set the tone of the piece. And so the Bad Wolf opens a portal to the future, a window in time, to show the War Doctor what he will become in the future if he commits.
Oh, hey, a Fez.
Oh, hey, a Fez.
They're cool.
Fezes are cool.
They are cool.
And from here, we cut back to the 11th Doctor and Clara in the gallery. They head off, and the technician gets a phone call, and he's very weirded out by it. Hey, wait a minute. That's not right, but you were just okay, but why would I do that? All right. So this is setting up for something later, but it's there. And we move further into the undergallery and see a painting of Elizabeth I with a very familiar-looking man. Is that character actor David Tennant?
Why, yes, it is Scrooge McDuck.
Holy shit.
Scrooge Jr.
Why, yes, it is Killian.
Also, so someone out there who's an artist, can someone actually draw the painting with Scrooge McDuck instead of David Tennant? I would love that. I would buy that.
I mean, if you want to commission Hawk, she's right there.
So Scrooge McDuck with an Elizabethan ruff?
Oh my gosh, Chris is right there. Hang on, I've got to type something out.
I never got my Peter Capaldi as Arthur from the Ghouls and Ghosts picture, for heaven's sake.
What? What?
What?
No, that wasn't like a genuine request for it. We had a joke about it, didn't we? That it would just be like Peter Capaldi in his underwear, like Arthur from Ghouls and Ghosts.
You can't say these things around a Ghouls and Ghosts fanboy like me.
Yeah, true. How's that resurrection working out for you?
I'm sorry. What were we talking? I'm sorry. We were talking about Ken.
If it's any consolation, Proton John also didn't like it. So.
Oh, I see that Proton John has taste in class also. So David Tennant and Elizabeth I.
Yeah, played by Joanna Page.
So it's a nice little romantic scene. The 10th Doctor is being his usual 10th Doctor self. Charming, rambling. It's nostalgia for 10th Doctor fans. People love him. And then he asks her to marry him. She says yes, and it's, Gotcha! You were sus all along.
Out the airlock with you.
She.
Elizabeth I was not the imposter.
2 monarchs remain.
Yeah, so, it's the usual kind of, it's kind of calling back to Blink in a way. It's just like, I've got a machine that goes ding. Ooh. But he thinks she's a Zygon. He goes on and on about it. Oh, stop pretending I know you're a Zygon. And, actually it was, it was my horse all along. Oh, fancy that. Run!
I love this bit because he's like, ranting at her saying, you're like this horrible red monster with suckers. And it's like, the real Queen Elizabeth wouldn't fall for a handsome man with a really cool horse. And then he turns back around and it's like, oh, it was the horse.
Yeah.
Letting 10 have any room to be his usual kind of a jerk-ass self, and I am 2,000% here for it.
Yeah, I mean, 10, I think we kind of got fed up with 10 now, thanks chiefly to Big Finish.
Yeah,
Constantly bringing it back. But if you forget all that for a moment, he was still a really good Doctor. And he really does give a good performance in this special.
Mm-hmm.
And as you say, Moffat just gets writes him perfectly and gets him to just be himself.
Yeah, it's almost like there's finally somebody on the show who knows how to write the Doctor. Not that I'm throwing shade at anybody.
I love the bit.
Clearly not.
I love the bit where they're running away and Elizabeth's like, what's going on? Says, we're being attacked by an alien previously disguised as my horse, Your Majesty.
So Tennant and Liz the First get separated, and then we get this is actual comedy gold. He walks around, he sees a rabbit, and he's like, oh, clever. And he does the usual David Tennant thing. I'm the Doctor, I'm 900 years old, I'm the oncoming storm, and you are basically just a rabbit.
This is my job, Doctor.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I love the fact that he actually subverts the whole epic speech here.
It's so good.
I love it.
Yeah, so just a general warning there, the rabbit hops off.
It's sort of like a love letter, but also a parody of Russell T Davies's run.
But you can like it and also take the piss out of it.
You get the feeling, though, this was like a respectful parody of Russell T Davies, because they do get on.
Oh, yeah.
It's definitely from the same guy who wrote Curse of Fatal Death.
Yes.
So, Tennant finds Elizabeth I, but there's 2 Elizabeth I. Each of them amazed and saying, oh, the other one's the imposter. I'm the real Elizabeth. And before Tennant can really sort that out, another window in time opens and, oh, hey, it's a Fez. That's weird.
Yeah, I love the way he says it. It's like, that's a crack in reality. Anything could happen. For example, a Fez.
Back to 11 and Clara, heading further down the undergallery, into a room with statues all covered up with sheets and dust on the floor, which Matt Smith immediately wants analyzed. This also plays to Smith's comedy as well, I think, his awkward nature. It's just, I want the dust analyzed and a report sent to my desk. ASAP, pronto, LOL.
Do I have a desk? No. Get me a desk, too. How is he so fantastic?
So good.
Oh.
And then, of course, he walks along and sees a Fez.
And of course he has to have it.
Yeah. What is it Clara says to him?
Someday you could just walk past a Fez.
That's it, yeah.
And Smith is just like, never gonna happen.
I love him. He's like a big, adorable puppy, and I love him.
I adore Matt Smith's Doctor, too.
Yeah.
My raggedy man.
He was a great Doctor in the time he was in the show, and then I got Peter Capaldi, and I started to think that maybe Capaldi was better. But now, I can enjoy all of them.
Listen, Capaldi is my Doctor, but Matt Smith is very, very good.
Yeah, and David Tennant's mine, but Matt Smith is excellent.
it's like I technically came in on David Tennant, but years of watching the show, I've kind of cooled off on him a little bit. He's still an excellent Doctor, but I prefer Matt Smith and Peter Capaldi more.
Has the overexposure not helped?
Yeah, not really.
Yeah.
Not really. It's like everything was about the 10th Doctor, so it's like, why should I care any longer?
Some days you can have too much of a good thing.
Even the Colin Baker trolling involved David Tennant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a lot of things to say about the prominence of 10 in the expanded universe of late, but I think I'm going to save that for an essay.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I had a bit to say on this when we did our Series 12 retrospective. After like 8 months of Series 12 having aired.
I need that time to recover. Come on now.
Yeah, I know, but I definitely had a lot to say about that. But that's talking about Chris Chibnall, and we don't want to do that. Yeah.
Yet.
Let's move on.
So we have more paintings with shattered glass all around, and Matt Smith, analyzing the glass, realizes the glass was broken from the inside. So there were figures in the painting, and now they have broken out of the paintings. That's weird. But before he can really fiddle with that, another window in time opens up, and this time Matt Smith is just like, oh, I remember this, not now. And throws his fez through.
Yeah, essentially he realizes, oh, wait, the fez isn't coming through because I have the fez still. So he just chucks it right on in. And then he follows the fez into the time vortex. Because he's a doctor, and that's what he does.
And here we are. The 10th Doctor and the 11th Doctor meeting.
Yep. And Clara gets left behind because Kate's like, oh, no, you're staying here, honey.
Clara gets a fun bit later. But, you know, the two of them, they do the usual Doctor meeting themselves bit, compare Sonics. It's just like, oh, wow. You're a skinny man. I've never seen it from the outside. It's like a special effect.
I love it. I love these bits with like the Doctor specials where they have more than one Doctor because he is so sassy to himself.
Yeah.
And I love it. I love
good.
it so much.
Multi-Doctor stories live and die on the interaction between the different Doctors.
Just the sass.
They do a really good job here.
Yeah, this one gets it spot on.
To solve the Liz 1 situation, they basically say, okay, look, both of you run in the opposite direction. And both Liz 1s run up to David Tennant and give him kisses. And Matt Smith's reaction is just golden. He's just like, so one of those was a Zygon. Big red rubbery thing with venom sacs in the tongue. Yeah. Just move on. And we actually get a joke when we cut back to Unit. As Kate Stewart asks for a file, which it's obviously a Three Doctors reference. She just asks for a file codenamed Cromer, 70s or 80s, depending on the dating protocol.
Oh, yeah. I get it.
Cromer.
And dating, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a 2-in-1 joke.
It's good. It's got layers.
Like an onion.
Another joke that has layers is the fact that Tennant and Smith are both trying to reverse the polarity of the time window. Tennant's just like, they're just like, it's not working because we're both reversing the polarity. Yeah, you're reversing the polarity. I'm reversing the polarity, and you're reversing it right back.
We're confusing the polarity.
And it's at this point that John Hurt enters the picture.
Just before that, there's a dick joke.
Oh God.
Oh yeah, are you compensating for something as they're
How
talking
did they
about
get
their
away with
Sonics?
this?
I don't know, but
They're being very subtle.
Yeah, subtle as a house brick to the face.
Honestly,
So
I'm kind of annoyed by that joke, just because it seems like something the Doctor would not do.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's just me, but it just feels wrong to have the Doctor make what's essentially a dick joke.
It's a good joke, but I agree with you. It's somewhat out of place.
yeah.
She's not doing it to Catherine Stewart.
Thank God.
Oh, thank goodness for that.
Oh.
But
Mark.
funnier jokes are when John Hurt sees these two, he's just like, I'm looking for the doctor. You know him? Are you boys his companions? They just pull out the Sonics and, oh no. Really?
Oh. The sass. I live for the sass.
There's so much sass.
This is why I like Clara so much. She's a walking sass machine.
Speaking of Clara, at this point, the three doctors are surrounded by guards, and Ale is first, who's acting sinister, and it's like, ah ha ha, doctor, I'm going to imprison you now.
Well, she comes a little bit later.
Yeah. Firstly, Clara gets to do something she doesn't want to do.
Oh yeah, this is so good. I love this. I mean, I'll let y'all take the slack after, but I feel like I got to do this because it's my girl Clara.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's a girl.
So the 11th Doctor's basically just like, oh, Clara, need a little help here. Can you convince these people that you're a powerful witch? What? And she's like, why do I have to be the witch? Rattling mortals, off you pop. A little more energy, please, Clara. It's so good. She's just like, I'm done with this bullshit. What's with this?
I
love it.
I went to school with that woman.
God. We also get a wonderful joke where it's just like Matt Smith says timey-wimey just in passing, and John Hurt's just like, timey-wimey? And Tennant just leans in. I have no idea where he got that. But,
Can I just say, kudos to the late great John Hurt. He was fantastic as this Doctor.
So many good lines. Being imprisoned in the tower is part of Matt Smith's plan, and he's just like, another good line. I demand to be incarcerated in the Tower of London with my co-conspirators, Sandshoes and Grandad. Grandad!
They're not Sandshoes. Yes, they are.
Yes, they are.
John Hurt doesn't miss a beat on that.
So, yeah, why don't you lead us through a little bit, Rainiac, here? I've been talking for a while.
Okay, so they've this is the Black Archive, right, and the statues, yeah?
Yep.
Okay, so we get two scenes running in parallel. So Kate's figured out the Doctor's done something very clever here, and so she heads off with Clara to the Tower of London. Which should be pointed out in the beginning that they imply that the Ravens are robots. And Malcolm gets a name drop as well from what's it called? Planet of the Dead.
Huh.
Lee Evans' character. He says, "Tell Malcolm the Ravens need their batteries replacing." But yeah, so inside the Tower of London is this great little concept called the Black Archive, which I absolutely love. So the Black Archive is this sort of special, forbidden area where there's a lot of alien technology, there's a lot of files, and the staff have their memories wiped every day at the end of every shift. So they go up to this guard, and the guard's like, it's my first day on the job, and in a case like that, it just took off and said, he's been here for 10 years.
Jesus.
Actually, this is also kind of a dark moment too, because what if he has family? What does he tell them?
Oh God,
fuck. That is fucked up.
I never thought of that.
No.
Yeah. I should also mention that Black Archive was later used as a name for a lovely line of books about the show. Mostly lovely.
Oh.
Going back to the thing here. Go ahead, Rainier.
Yeah, sure. So inside the Black Archive, we also have lots of lovely references to the past. Photographs of past companions. And present companions.
There's one that gets me every time, which is just, they're obviously trolling with it. But there's a photo on this wall. I think it's near the end when they come back to the Black Archive. But it's Mike Yates with Sarah Kingdom.
Yeah.
Which makes absolutely no damn sense in continuity. But it's just Photoshop there for the hell of it?
There is no way.
You know what I would have loved to see?
Mhm.
I don't care who's in the photo, but just do you guys remember the cartoon version of Mulan? I can't believe I have to say that, where it has that painting that the advisor has, where he's pointing at the emperor. It
Yeah,
has this gigantic spot.
yeah, I know.
Just something staged up like that.
I only saw that on Twitter like a couple days ago, so it's fresh in my head.
I couldn't spot all of the photographs. Good spot on the Sarah Kingdom because I didn't see her. I saw Mike Yates, but I was like, who's that? Who's that next to him?
I noticed a Nissa and a chameleon.
I saw
And,
Chameleon, Nissa, Leela's there, Ace is there, and surprisingly, Clara herself is there because this is not her first visit.
Well, they wipe your memory every time, so yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, this is
Well,
going
technically
on.
not every time. If you manage to get out there without getting your memory wiped.
Yeah. While this is all going on, then Osgood and McGillip, I think is the other technician's name. They're analysing the stone dust, and they've come to an interesting conclusion that the dust is not of anything in the gallery.
Oddly, though, it is something that's used in statues.
Yeah. And then Osgood, bless her, has a horrible moment of realization. It's like, we have to go right now. It's like, why? Because I've just realised what's happened with the statues. Why the statues have been smashed. It's because they needed the space. And the sheets come off, and it's Zygons everywhere.
This is the one time where she's an idiot, as far as I can tell.
Does that mean Colin Baker, Sylvester McCoy, and Peter Davison were all Zygons in disguise?
For the uninitiated, that is a reference to the Five-ish Doctors reboot, which, if you haven't seen, please, for the love of God, look that up. You'll laugh.
It's very funny.
It's very funny.
They send themselves up beautifully in it.
It's so good.
Yeah. Just as a reminder, Colin Baker knows our names.
Yeah.
And one more thing before we move on to the next part of the episode. I really like how Gemma Redgrave plays Zygon Kate.
Oh, yeah.
You don't notice it when you're watching it for the first time, but on subsequent watches, there's like this sort of malevolent joy thing that she does with her line delivery when they get to the Black Archive room. And it's delightful.
Yeah.
Even like the way she walks back into the gallery, you can tell. Oh, yeah. On hindsight, you can tell.
Oh, yeah.
So at what point
the way
is
she
she
walks.
swapped out then? It's the real Kate at the beginning of the episode, right?
It's between
They
the whole
telegraph
Cromer joke.
they telegraph the moment.
It's a Cromer joke. There's a
Yeah.
silhouette of a Zygon on the wall behind her.
Yeah.
Ah,
So that's obviously implying that she's going to be switched like relatively soon
when she leaves that.
after that.
When she leaves the room after that scene.
Right.
Yeah,
So
that-
as soon as she asks for the file, you see the shadow, and at some point she gets turned before she walks back. Well, before the Zygon her walks back into Clara.
Excellent. I hadn't spotted that, so well done.
Well, at least two of us are paying attention.
There's a lot to pay attention to in this one in particular. Cut me some slack.
I'm messing with you, dude.
I know, and I'm running into it
Sense
face
of
first.
sight.
I'm running into it face first like an idiot.
So Osgood's in a spot of trouble.
Yeah, just a bit. So the Zygons are after her and McGillip, and then suddenly there's two Osgoods.
Well.
And again,
This
if
one-
we're going to praise Gemma Redgrave's acting as a Zygon, I got to praise
Ingrid.
Ingrid Oliver. So I'm getting her and Watson confused. Ingrid Oliver's acting as a Zygon. Again, it's subtle enough that you just know that she's different.
It's a really nasty scene, too.
It is,
Yeah.
yeah. But she also apparently Osgood's got a sister. Was this retconned in later series or not? But there is a nasty line about why do I always get the ones with the defects? Ugh.
Ugh.
You know, Osgood saves herself with, of all things, her replica Tom Baker scarf.
Yeah, she trips
Well,
her doppelganger with the scarf.
And Back at the Black Archive.
It's a sudden but inevitable betrayal.
Oh, actually, we should mention at the point where the real Osgood manages to you get one over on the copy. At this point, the Zygon Osgood took the inhaler. However, the real one takes it back.
Yeah, and that is important for later on.
Yes.
That'll be important, yeah.
Believe it or not. Anyway, so as you might have guessed, Kate's not Kate. Kate's a Zygon, and Jack's vortex manipulator is just sitting there in the Black Archive, bequeathed a unit upon his death. Well, one of them.
It's cute.
And then we get a very horrific effect.
Oh God.
Of Kate.
Oh yeah.
Transforming into a Zygon.
Nasty CG.
There's like goop comes out of her mouth, and then in later Peter Capaldi episodes involving the Zygons, the transformation is a lot quicker and a lot cleaner. But here they really, really go to town in making it as nasty as possible.
Yeah.
And I appreciate it.
Clara's in a spot of trouble, but luckily, the entire point of coming here was the fact that the 11th Doctor was leaving the passkey for the Vortex Manipulator. He was chiseling it into the bricks in his cell in the Tower of London. So Unit Techs in 2013 find it, send it to Kate's phone, which Zygon Kate has set down as she's transforming and is like, okay, time to kill the humans. And Clara sees it, shoves the manipulator on her arm, puts in the key code, and she just gives this little smirk as she's just like, access code, right?
The only thing that would have made this better is if Clara just gave them the finger while she was doing it.
I can see her doing that if it wasn't a family-friendly show.
And that smile that she gives, it's similar to the one she gives in Hellbent.
Yeah.
When the TARDIS is appearing around, he says, so there he's doing what he does best. He's stealing her toes and running away. Bye-bye.
Clara's so good, y'all.
That shit-eating grin.
Yes.
She does.
I can't remember if she did that in high school or not, but she does.
So, the Tower of London scene.
Yeah, so they're all in jail now. The Doctors are in jail.
As they should be.
Yeah.
As they should.
Arrested for timeline crimes.
Which, wow, hey, I'm sorry to pull your pin out a little bit, Kat, but hey, you know what these doctors do when they're imprisoned? They try to escape. Unlike a certain doctor who needed a man to help break her out because she was depressed or whatever.
Yeah.
Let's just.
I mean, it's not like one of the doctors was literally there because he was trying to decide if he was going to destroy the entirety of Gallifrey and all of the Daleks. But you know, but yeah, you know, I'm sad.
I'm sad because of retcons.
I mean, I'm sad, but I'm also laughing at what Chris just said. So
I'm sad because of retcons.
No. She just said hashtag feminism.
Yeah.
So let's just put the pin back. Let's just put the pin back in for the time being.
Put the pin back in the grenade. We'll save it for later.
We can't. Once it's out, it's out.
Yeah, we're gonna.
No. I'll accept.
We're gonna. Don't worry. Coach Sharmus will come in and take the grenade from you. Oh wait, shit! I'm doing it again.
Frezno, why?
I'm okay. The pin's back in. There's nobody here. Let's go back to the tower.
Yeah.
Let's talk about something better, like John Hurt asking if they counted all the children who died on Gallifrey.
Wait, what?
Oh yeah, that's helpful.
That's so much better. Yeah.
Powerful scene.
Yeah. It's
The
super
whole
powerful.
thing, especially with, and I wrote about this in the book, is the doing the mirroring it has with the beast below.
Did Christa just do a Doctor Who mirror alert?
Yeah, she did.
Hell
I mean,
yeah!
I play the soundboard, but I'm too angry to.
Here.
In post.
Oh, you don't need to post. You got me, Doctor Who mirror alert. Whoop 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 whoop.
All right, I'm a little better now.
Okay, so Krista really has settled there because she's just told me to put that in post. So.
I can send you the MP3 of it. You can actually do it.
Oh God!
She's an alumnus of the show now. She's settled right in.
Get nice and comfy.
Yes, get nice and comfy, and then we'll stab Rainiac in the back and take the show for our own.
We are such dorks.
I know, but I do love this scene.
I think we all do, don't we?
Yeah. The way,
yeah, a bit.
The way Smith is just like, I never counted. What would be the point? And Tennant just says 2.47 billion.
Yeah. Absolute disgust in his voice.
Yeah, it's the bitterness and the disgust. It makes
and the whole thing of how did you forget about it? Where have you been going that you forgot about it? Spoilers. Oh no! For once, I want to know where I'm going that I could forget about what I did. Great.
What's the line?
And then I think it's the moment that Bad Wolf. Let's just call her Bad Wolf. Bad Wolf points out that the 10th Doctor is the one who regrets, and the 11th is the one who forgets.
Yeah, I love that.
I love that.
So good.
The man who regrets and the man who forgets.
What we get next is interesting for the resolution of the story, where they all realize that to break open the cell door with the sonic, it would take 400 years of calculating the molecular properties of the door. But wait a minute. They're all the same doctor, and it's all the same screwdriver. So if the War Doctor just starts the calculation, it'll go through. 10th Doctor, hundreds of years later, still going through. 11th Doctor, hundreds of years after that, calculation complete. 400 years in a second. We're really great, clever docs. Oh.
And then Clara just opens the door because it wasn't locked.
I love it.
Not one of them decided to just try the door.
So,
and it's the Doctor.
This is a classic joke in fiction. A locked door not to be locked. But it gives Jenna Coleman something really good to do here, and as Krista says, it's a really good punchline.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
And actually, we didn't talk about this before, but when they were in the woods surrounded by all the Queen's guards, there was this moment where 10 and 11 were pointing their sonic screwdrivers at all the knights, and the War Doctor's like, "What are you going to do? Assemble furniture at them?"
They're scientific instruments, not water pistols.
There's so many good lines in this episode.
I miss good writing.
We could just talk about the dialogue for hours, but we won't do that because we have to move on with the episode.
But I wanted to do that.
Why don't one of y'all talk about the plot for a little bit more? Move us along.
Yeah, so the door opens and like, well, why was it not locked? And then Elizabeth says, because I wanted to see what would happen if you escaped. Okay. And it's pretty obvious that this is Zygon Elizabeth, because she's working with the Zygons, and remember those paintings from earlier? This is how they got into the gallery.
Oh.
They put themselves in the art.
And they wait 500 years for planet Earth to become hospitable, let's say, for a Zygon who's used to a certain level of technology.
And then they start broken friends.
After 500 years, I'm free! Time to conquer
Earth!
And then, it's even better, because then they can sell the broken friends as NFTs.
Oh my god.
How do we keep doing this?
I'm totally not over that, by the way. I'm totally not over the NFT thing.
Oh god.
So, there are Zygons in all the paintings in the museum that are landscapes. Assuming the museum contains paintings by Vincent van Gogh or Van Gogh, does that not suggest that there are Zygons in the Church of author's painting.
Oh, I like that.
Oh, God.
Oh.
Wild.
Yeah, and anyway, so the Zygons have all been moved into the art, so they're out of the way, and then Ted insults Elizabeth because she's the Zygon, and then oops, she's not the Zygon.
It's classic comedic beat, and Ten's just like, right. So, backtracking to give context to what I previously said.
And Joanna Page gets a wonderful line here from history that gets a bit of a nice little Doctor Who tweak. She says, like, well, my twin is dead in the forest because you got like a dagger hidden up her dress. She says, I may have the body of a weak and feeble woman, but at the time, so did the Zygon.
Hashtag feminism?
I guess.
Hashtag feminism.
I mean, to be fair, this is a lot better than anything else because at the very least, Queen Elizabeth is a badass here.
Yeah.
Just fucking murders herself,
It
essentially.
is partially a real quote.
Yeah.
Or at least a quote that's attributed to Queen Elizabeth. It may not be a real quote. But we're getting into history again there, and I know...
One thing leads to another, and Tennant actually gets married to Elizabeth first.
God, and Clara's the bridesmaid.
which this does set up. They had to set it up in a way. This is something that happened between Waters of Mars and End of Time.
Yep.
End of Time Part 1, Tennant walks out, and he's like, oh yeah, married Queen Elizabeth I, but here I am.
Yeah. Let's just say her nickname is no longer, as I was saying.
So, 3 doctors head back into Tennant's TARDIS. A great line where John Hurt remarks on it, and Smith is just like, oh, it's his grunge phase. He gets out of it.
And then the TARDIS decides to flip through all the different TARDIS interiors because it's a little bit confused because there's 3 doctors there.
Yeah.
So we get this wonderful scene of what we assume to be the War Doctor's TARDIS interior, where they have the round things, and 10 and 11 are just like, oh, it's the round things. I miss the round things.
Changes back to Smith's TARDIS, his second TARDIS set.
What are the round things for? I have absolutely no idea.
I love it.
And Tennant gets...
Well, actually, if you take the past episodes into account, it's for Turlo to come in and start fucking with shit. So.
That's what this was missing.
I made a classic Who joke. I'm becoming one.
That's what
I'm a nerd.
That's what this needed. Turlo.
Is he on the wall?
I don't know.
He might be.
He might be. Maybe
Probably
everyone's on the wall. I mean, Chameleon's on the wall, for God's sake. I would like to think Turlo got there.
Chameleon. God help us, we'd never do.
We haven't touched on Chameleon yet in the classic reviews, but spoilers, he's in 2 stories.
And the reason he's in 2 stories is because he was an advanced robot. Well, advanced for the 80s. I'm talking about the prop, not the actual robot. He was like an advanced robot that some prop people made, and then the prop people died, and nobody knew how to operate the robot.
Yeah.
Oops.
So they just didn't... They could have just cast somebody and have them shapeshift into the robot, but no, they just shoved the robot into a closet for the rest of the story.
If only David Whittaker was there to give them a solution to their problem.
God. Like, we did 5 doctors last time. Chameleon is technically in the TARDIS in 5 doctors.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't know it.
Living up to his name of Chameleon there. Just blending right into the background.
Okay. Oh, God.
Well, I'm looking at the board now, and I can definitely see that Romana's there.
As she should be. Which one?
The Layla Ward one.
As she should be. Yeah.
It's a little too blurry, but I can also see Jamie's there.
Yeah.
I'll keep looking for Turlo.
I bet he's not there, but...
So, TARDIS console shifting. Once it shifts to Smith's TARDIS, Tennant gets to say the iconic line, the classic line. Oh, you've redecorated. I don't like it. But they try to call up Kate Stewart, and at this point, we're at an interesting bit: the Zygons and the humans. If you want to get into that, either of you.
Yeah. Christa, would you like to take the bit where the Zygons are confronted by the humans?
So at this point, the humans and Zygons are in the Black Archive, and they are essentially fighting with each other. They enter the room. Humans come into the room. The Zygons transform into their human counterparts. They argue over who gets to. They argue over turning off the countdown to destruction because there's a nuclear bomb. I think it is. It's 20 feet beneath the tower, and if it goes off, it would destroy London. So the argument, Zygon Kate are trying to turn the countdown back on again and back off again, which is when the Doctor interrupts.
Yeah, he set up a space-time telegram.
Yeah, it's a space-time telegram, which he gave to the Brigadier, so hotline to the TARDIS. He knows about the Black Archive, he knows about the security protocol, and none of them are very happy about this.
Nope.
They try to get Kate to turn the countdown off. She refuses, and then essentially hangs up on him. So the doctors and Clara have to figure out a plan B. And plan B, it turns out, is in the painting, the Gallifrey Falls painting, from upstairs down to the Black Archive and fly the TARDIS through it.
Oh yes, and it's glorious.
It really is.
Because we should say that the archive has been completely TARDIS proofed. They say this, that's why they can't just go in the TARDIS and go there straight away. So, as Christa rightly says, plan B. They're going to translate themselves into the Gallifrey Falls painting and then blow out with the aid of a convenient Dalek.
Which they apologize for once they step out. Hi, everybody. Sorry about the Dalek.
Clara's behind them, and the dramatics.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you know how people are upset at how the Sonic does everything. This is maybe perhaps the one small bad note of the episode.
Oh, yeah. But before we get to that, I will say, of course, that we have an interesting sort of thematic resonance here, where the idea is that Kate Stewart is willing to kill millions to save billions and make the impossible choice of blowing up London to save the world. And, the doctors get to say, we did that choice once and it was a terrible choice and you shouldn't make it. So, a microcosm and a macrocosm, Kate Stewart's choice to blow up London versus the impossible choice presented to John Hurt in blowing up the end of the Time War. That, my friends, is another Doctor Who mirror.
Whoop.
Whoop, 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 whoop.
That was close to an air horn. That was too dangerously close to an air horn for my liking.
And, well, like Rainiac said, a little bit of sonic screwdriver bullshittery, but I can buy it. I can buy it considering the idea of the Black Archive.
They had to get through that painting somehow, so it's a cool moment. So I'll give it a pass. But
okay, you're talking about sonicking the Dalek through the painting.
They do sort of give credence to people saying they use the Sonic. They overuse the Sonic in the modern era.
Yeah. There's jokes about it. They know what they're doing.
Yeah, and it's just the one little moment. So,
speaking of sonic hackery, and this actually makes sense, Tennant and Smith's solution to the standoff?
Amnesia!
Yay!
I mean, it's the Black Archive. Like you said, they set up the whole memory erasing thing, so I can buy the Sonic hacking that to the
Yeah.
specifications
I've just
of
realised it's the Black Archive amnesia. It's a dark descent into the Black Archive.
oh god.
Oh no, and there's already Pigman and Doctor Who too. Crap.
Oh no.
Oh,
I don't know what we're talking about, but I don't like it.
There's a game called Amnesia: The Dark Descent.
Oh god.
And the second one is called A Machine for Pigs, and has
yeah.
like these people with pig masks.
Okay. Gotcha. All right. So
Thinking of the Pigman from the Dalek in Manhattan two-parter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank God the Cybermen
Unfortunately.
went around for that.
am a human Dalek.
Oh God! If we ever cover that, we won't cover that.
If we ever cover that, we won't cover that. It's technically fair game. It's pre-Capaldi story.
I know. Whoever opened up the, I think it was you, Frezno. I think it was,
Oh. You know, it is my turn next.
yeah.
Oh,
It's my turn next.
Well,
isn't
you're
it?
fine, Christa. You're not going to be here. So
Oh, yeah, you're fine.
you're safe. I'm not. I'm in danger.
So nobody can remember if they're human or Zygon, so both Kate Stewarts immediately cancel the detonation and begin to work out a peace treaty between humans and Zygons, which will be used later in the Capaldi era, but we're not talking about that right now.
I mean, no, but in 3 years' time, this scene does give rise to one of the best scenes in Capaldi's whole tenure.
Yeah.
It's definitely a scene, for sure. I flip-flop on whether it's an incredible scene or patronizing as fuck. I really cannot get it.
It's an incredible scene. Let me just solve that for you right now.
Yeah.
I like
It's
it a lot.
very well acted. I can give it that much at least.
It is such a powerful speech.
It's
But
so
this is where
powerful,
the-
I don't really remember it all that well.
Well, we've got to fix that.
Yeah, well, and this is where the inhaler thing comes back, because one of the Osgood's coughs and the other Osgood hands her the inhaler, and it's like, oh wait, shit, you're the real. Shh.
Yeah.
It's cute.
That
It's
also
a cute
comes
little
back
moment.
in the Capaldi years, but
Oh yeah. And we get a lovely little scene with Clara and the War Doctor now. It's nice, pleasant, but also kind of melancholy in a way.
Yeah. Because at this time, Clara's realized that this is the War Doctor before he chooses what he's quote unquote supposed to choose.
Yeah.
And she's talking to him about it, and the War Doctor kind of realizes that he's decided what he wants to do. So Clara turns to look at everybody else, turns back, and he's gone with the moment.
He's back at that barn with a big red button for the moment.
Just like he wanted.
we get a great line here from John Hurt,
Yeah.
which really has quite a lot of resonance for me. I think about it a lot. Great
I
men are
think I know-
forged in fire. It is the privilege of lesser men to light the flame.
He's seen the wonderful men that the Doctor will become, and he's just willing to like make that future come about and be the one who makes that impossible choice to bring that.
You've
Them
just reminded me
the
also
wonderful
when the Zygon human conflict is resolved again. John Hurt just has the best grin on his face.
He was so good.
throughout
He's
that whole
wonderful.
thing.
You know, he's about to push the button. He's about to do it. He's about to walk backwards into hell, as it were. But then the moment just pipes up. Hey, you know the sound the TARDIS makes, that wheezing groaning, which that's a subtle Terrence Dicks reference in itself. And how it brings hope to everybody, and then we hear it and hear a Tennant and Smith to help along. And to help John Hurt, he doesn't have to do it alone. So all three of them can push the button and take the burden off their shoulders just a little bit.
Before we get further into that, I would like to, I apologize for this, take a moment to talk about the moment.
Okay. Are we full on pulling the pin out yet, or
No. What I want to talk about is how good a job Billie Piper does with this.
Oh
Because
yeah.
her face is so expressive, even with her messed up eyebrows. But I will never let it go. But it's just so wonderful because you can see the panic in her face as the doctor is about to, hit the button. And it's like she doesn't want to do it. And she knows that the doctor doesn't want to do it either. So she's trying to do everything she can to stop him from ever possibly pushing that button. She mentions, did you ever count the kids? She's talking to him about the sound that the TARDIS makes and other bits where she talks about what the name of the doctor means to people. And it's just, dang it, Billie Piper is so good and I miss her.
She is fantastic, and she was announced that she was coming back for the 50th anniversary, and everyone was obviously delighted to see her again. But the fact that she comes back, but not in the way you think, she's not Rose. She's the moment. She's the bad wolf. It's such a good subverting of expectation.
It's a great role.
And she just
It's
knocks
fantastic.
it out of the park.
She does. Ugh.
She actually sounds emotional when she speaks about the TARDIS providing hope. And this is supposed to be, an interface of a machine, of a weapon that kills billions and billions of people.
It has a conscience. Being emotional, yeah.
Well, it has a conscience, and it's acting as the Doctor's conscience here.
Yeah. And again, I'm sorry, in the moment, the moment is acting more human-like. Well, you get what I mean, even though the fact that this is more of a Time Lord...
More
whatever.
humane than the Doctor, yeah.
She's acting more humane than anything else we've seen. And it's just, it's such a beautiful moment at the idea of what could AI eventually become like as well.
And another beautiful moment is, of course, 3 doctors have their hands over the button, and Clara's watching, and she's having a little cry over it, and Smith just looks over and he's just like, "What's wrong?" It's nothing. No, tell me what's wrong. And what's wrong is that she knew that the Doctor is the one who pushed the button to destroy the Daleks and Time Lords, but she never pictured her Doctor pushing the button. And this, I feel, is a bit of term I'm looking for, authorial intent, I think, because this is basically how Moffat felt about the whole Time War thing. He's like, he couldn't imagine the Doctor doing that, pushing the button.
Yeah.
He kind of disagreed on a fundamental level that fact of the Time War that Russell T Davies put in. And, well, his take on it we're about to see shortly.
Oh, yes.
But it bleeds through to Clara as well. And we get more of the moment being humane and trying to call them off the path. And she has a projection of Gallifrey right now, all the Time Lords running around in panic through the burned landscape. And Clara's just like, these are all the people you're going to kill. There really isn't another way.
And then, thankfully, the 10th Doctor thinks of something. The last great Time War is time-locked. How did they get there?
The moment let them through for conscience reasons.
Exactly. The moment is the one who deliberately let them through, which actually brings to question what all the moment could do. But still, the moment is the one who brought them there so that they could essentially talk to the War Doctor and hopefully, stop all this.
Yeah.
And, well, she succeeds.
Yep.
Oh, does she? Ever?
She succeeds.
Matt Smith says he's had 400 years?
He's
Think
had
it over.
400 years to think it over. Yep.
Change my mind.
As you do.
And so the Gonzo plan comes to fruition.
I love the scene though where Matt Smith is thinking of it, and obviously they're the Doctor and they're Time Lord, so they could sort of mind meld. So you just see John Hurt go, "Oh, that's brilliant!" And then Ted goes like, "Oh, it's coming to me too!" And they're just like running around, whooping and hollering, and just so happy.
It's just triumphant, isn't it? It's just
it is a perfect scene of 3 doctors literally celebrating the fact that they don't have to do
There's
this.
such a good line from John Hurt. Is he's so happy for like the first real time in the episode? He's like jubilant. He's just like, she didn't just show me any future. She showed me the future I needed to see. I could kiss you, Bad Wolf Girl. And
Oh,
Ten's just like, I'm sorry, did you just say Bad Wolf?
Yeah.
even 11 is like shocked, like what?
That gets his attention, but yeah. So it could have been in another alternate universe to ours that maybe it would have ended with the 3 doctors pressing the button. How dark would that have been?
Pretty dark.
Except it would never have happened.
Time Lord Victorious.
Do you know why?
I'm sure he'll be there.
Do you know why it would never have happened?
Because it's
Stephen
the Doctor.
Moffat?
Because at its heart, Doctor Who is not that show.
Because it's the Doctor.
The three
Yeah.
doctors pressing the
Doctor would do
button and
that.
wiping out everybody would be another show, not this show.
It's like-
Exactly.
And I do want to say to those out there who are be like, but the Doctor, back when he was the 7th Doctor, destroyed all of Skaro. Yeah, because they were evil. They're Daleks. And technically he didn't destroy them, he just tricked them into destroying themselves.
Hmm.
He still
it's-
gave them an
It's
out.
not like he's seen as a particularly good guy for doing that. He had to
No.
do it,
No.
but we're not supposed to applaud him for wiping out Skaro.
No. It's still one of those moments where it's like, oh my god, the Doctor did that?
Yep, he did.
So
I mean,
it-
look at Runaway Bride. Yeah, remember
Yeah.
that scene where he
Yeah.
gets all the spider babies? Like, that's
Actually,
not fun.
not even just that. Turn left in general.
Turn left is just, well,
And going back to
That's
the
more-
episode, what does he do when he
that's-
wipes out the rat nos? He regrets it. The man who regrets.
yeah.
Yep.
Turn left is more of a what would happen if the Doctor's here, but it is.
Well, yeah,
Very
but
much
it
so.
still explores the idea that if the Doctor didn't have people behind him, he would be going down a much darker path.
And then the world would be going on a much darker path. But that does
Yeah.
lead into what Rain, I think, is saying, that Doctor Who isn't that kind of show.
It isn't that.
And
show.
by
Exactly.
And by showing a bad end alternate reality, I think it illustrates that well.
Yeah. What do you think, Krista?
We don't call it Valiard Who.
Yahoo! Krista, don't give Big Finish any ideas.
But
Oh, they
This
probably
doesn't-
already thought of it.
okay,
Be
this
fair.
is a bit of a tangent, but this does actually make. Big Finish had this other series, I forget what they were called, but they're basically like what if stories.
Yeah.
Most of them aren't very good, but there's one called He Jests at Scars, which is what if the Valiard won out the trial of a Time Lord?
Oh boy.
And I find it fascinating on a meta level because the answer to what would happen if the Valiant won the Time War is that the entire thing is basically a string of continuity references, and then the show just ends with them locked in stasis forever.
Yeah.
So that it's a meta commentary in its own way. I think I've only listened to it once, but that's what I took from it. But that's what I thought of when Krista said Valiant Who.
I mean, to be fair, most of these what ifs is usually what if the Doctor did do this, and it usually ends in everything's dead.
Yeah. There's
Yeah.
some not great ones, but
The
that
best
one
what if
stood out
story
to
is
me.
Turn Left, though. That is fantastic.
Yeah.
And David Tennant's not even in it, apart from the end.
So, the grand plan then. Well, if the Doctor's not going to blow up both Daleks and Time Lords alike, how are we going to solve the Time War?
In the best way possible.
Oh, Jesus. So, who wants to gush about this?
Oh my! I think we all do. But this for me is perhaps the single greatest moment in the history of the show.
Agreed.
It's up there.
Everything
Yeah.
has been coming towards this moment. So their grand, insane plan, and they admit it's an insane plan. It may not even work. And all while
Like
they're
they
doing
say.
this, Murray Gold does it again because you remember. Do you remember,
Here we go.
Do you remember Heaven Sent, the music that plays as he breaks the wall? The Shepherd's Boy?
Hmm.
This is the first
Yeah.
time
Yes.
this is the first time it gets played.
God.
Oh.
It's like a proto version of it.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, so the grand plan is that well, if we press the moment, we'll wipe out Gallifrey and the Daleks. The Daleks are all firing on Gallifrey, but they're firing all around the planet. So what if the planet just disappeared?
They'd fire on each other and destroy themselves.
Yeah, and it would look like to all that had seen it that they'd both been wiped out of time and space.
Yeah, because that was also a big part of the Time War, was just the Time Lords existing was kind of an offense to everything.
And then they're like, why don't we do that then?
Gallifrey is safe in a parallel pocket universe.
Yeah, which isn't that safe, but it's better than the alternative of being wiped out.
No.
Relatively safe.
I think they later retconned it, so instead of a pocket universe, it's just like at the end of time. But I don't really know how it
still
works.
It still works.
It still works in this story, but the point is, and it's a microcosm, macrocosm of the whole shove a Zygon in a 3D painting to keep him safe for 500 years deal.
So our three doctors, they contact the council on Gallifrey. They, of course, bypass Rassilon's insane rabble, because of course they do. And
it's Rassilon.
They're talking to Ken Bones' general, because he'd show up later on as well. And they say, we're going to do something absolutely nuts here. We're going to freeze you in a single moment of time, because the alternative is to wipe you out, and I've seen that, and I don't want to see it again. So it's like, but you're absolutely crazy. Just the calculation would take thousands of years. Thankfully, I've got a few of those, and every single TARDIS, and every
I'm
single
going to start
Doctor,
crying again, because this is such a fantastic
this is so
scene and
emotional,
moment.
isn't it?
It's so good.
My heart bursts watching this back.
Got it's Smash Bros. Ultimate. Everyone is here.
Yeah.
And of course, in 2013, the big surprise was they say it's all 12 doctors. No, sir, all 13. Peter
Angry
Capaldi's
eyebrows.
goddamn
Eyebrows.
A 5-second shot of Peter Capaldi's eyebrows exploded a million fans' hearts that day.
Like, I have gone back to Day of the Doctor reaction videos and just like you can hear the volume warnings when Peter Capaldi's eyebrows show up.
Yeah.
What other fandom can you be in where a 5-second shot of an old guy's eyebrows makes you go,
Because people kept saying that, why have they announced that Matt Smith is leaving and Peter Capaldi's taking over?
Actually, if anybody wants an idea of what it was like at the time, it would be something kind of like this.
what?
What?
I added a new sound.
Did you
What-
really
what-
just go there, Kat?
What?
Yes.
I don't even know where you just went.
Play it again.
Okay. Does it need to be louder?
Yeah, probably.
Let's see if this will work now.
Oh! God.
I won't play the whole thing
For
again.
the benefit of our people that listen to this and don't know what that is, can you explain what that is, please, Kat?
That is the death metal scream from one of the openings of Death Note.
Yes.
Oh, Jesus. So,
See, what I
Yeah,
was
well-
going to do was when we were playing Among Us and walking around with proximity chat, is whenever I was imposter, I was going to play that.
oh, Jesus. So, long story short, all 13 doctors, sorry, do this calculation stuff, and we get the main 3 doctors: Geronimo, Alonzi. Oh, for God's
God
sake,
sake, Gallifrey stands.
And well, they yeet Gallifrey out of there, and all the Daleks blow up, and we cut to a cup of tea at the London Gallery.
Yeah.
So, do we want to do the pin now, or do we want to wait for the wrap up?
We'll wait for the wrap up.
Okay, so
Let's talk about this fantastic scene of them talking.
and it's the War Doctor that realizes as they're sitting over tea, thanks to
Timey-wimey bullshit.
timey-wimey bullshit, he won't actually remember that he tried to save Gallifrey, and he'll think that he pushed the button and killed them all. And he had to live with that. And that's, it's keeping with continuity.
Yeah, that's
so,
his consequence.
Even though we're retconning the end of the Time War, we're not retconning the fact that the Doctor thinks he did it.
Yeah.
So, for Eccleston,
here's the question: is it truly a retcon if the Doctor only thinks that he did it?
No, it's not
it's a retcon. It's a retcon to us, but for the Doctor,
it's a very clever narrative way of ensuring that you don't wipe out the past 8 years of Christopher Eccleston and David Tennant.
Because the only times that we were told that the Doctor specifically is the one who did this to the Time Lords is when he himself said it.
And
as we know, he's an unreliable narrator now because he does not remember the truth.
Yeah.
So in essence, could we not say that Gallifrey was never destroyed and it was always this outcome?
It was never destroyed.
Oh, yeah, that's true. But I mean, I'm saying from the real world, from 2005 to this.
Yeah,
we just assumed he was telling the truth.
Yeah, obviously we couldn't have known in advance, and maybe they didn't even know in advance.
And this time it's me trying hard not to pull the pin out because
I will pull the pin out just a little.
This is the best way. This is a good way of making sure that the previous years of continuity still exist, but the better outcome still happens.
I'm going to tentatively pull the pin out
and then the TARDIS children had to not do that.
Let's put the pin back for a second here. Let's not pull it. I just want to say that this is it. It obviously changes the outcome of the Time War outside, like for the real world, but it does so in a way that is respectful to the story that Russell T Davies told previous about the guilt of the Time War.
Yeah.
So it changes the outcome. But it does not change the emotion of the piece or the emotion of the character.
No.
So now we put the pin back there.
I shouldn't have pulled the pin out. Okay. I'm sorry.
Don't worry. It's okay. It's okay.
Well, we're going to need to pull the pin soon because otherwise I might implode.
Anyway, the War Doctor says goodbye to Clara and 10 and 11. And he's sad that he's going to forget, but in this moment he claims the title of Doctor that he left behind.
Yeah.
He is the Doctor again.
War Doctor no more.
He heads into his TARDIS to go off and begins to regenerate. Presumably, of course, into the night. Who knows if Rose happens right after this or not.
It's a damn shame that Eccleston didn't agree to at least do a regeneration scene. I understand because, he didn't have the best time working on the show. Why he would say no, and we'll talk more about him saying no, the consequences on this story.
Well, it could be worse. It could have just been John Hurt in a wig.
True.
Yeah.
We just get Eccleston's eyes superimposed over John Hurt.
And as the 10th Doctor's about to leave, he just confronts 11. He's like, "I'm about to forget, so you might as well tell me where we're going." And the 11th Doctor mentions Trenzalore, the inevitable death point of the Doctor, which, getting into that silence arc a little. Let's keep the pin in on my conspiracy theories. we're just gonna.
I would like to say that something I found out just before we started this, like the past week before we did the podcast for this episode, actually, is that before he departs, and there's a great, the whole John Hurt saying, I won't remember. I tried to save Gallifrey rather than burn it. And there's just a pause. He goes, "Which one is mine?" That line was ad-libbed.
Oh, that's cute.
Wow.
Because we haven't. I'm sure hopefully all of you have seen the episode because we spoiled it. But John Hurt's TARDIS is beat to shit because it's been through God knows what in the Time War.
Yeah.
So it's a cute little joke.
Yeah.
And do you think?
Well, we know at least one thing it went through. It went through a wall. So.
Yeah. True. Do you think his regeneration is the work of the moment?
Possibly. I don't know.
I would say a combination of the moment and just the accumulated stress of fighting in the Time War.
And also his purpose is done.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's the whole reason he took the special potion. I
Yeah,
guess we can call it
and
a potion
stressing the time
in
warp.
night.
Good God, yes. I mean, we do dump on Big Finish sometimes, but they get the War Doctor pretty much right.
Yeah.
And God, it's brutal. It really is brutal.
I haven't listened to any of those, but I'll take your word for it. But so once the 10th Doctor leaves with a sly little callback to his final words, Clara mentions that the curator of the museum was looking for the 11th Doctor. And he just sits down and he says, I could be curator of a museum. And a familiar booming voice behind him says, I really think you might.
Oh, I'm gonna cry again. Oh, jeez.
Oh, no.
I'm sorry,
Oh, no.
did I say that the moment with the 13 Doctors was the best moment of the entire show's history? It's got competition right here.
Yes.
It's
There he is,
Tom
folks.
Baker.
That voice.
Tom Baker.
Me watching this back in 2013, and as soon as I heard that distinctive voice, I just knew.
I'm gonna cut to it. I don't think I'd watched that much Classic Who with Tom Baker at this point, so I didn't peg the voice. But as soon as we saw his face, I was like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah, and
I knew who he was. And I was able to be like, "It's Tom Baker."
Yeah,
I knew who he was, and I cried a little.
This makes me feel so many feels.
Listen. I don't think I cried at this, but I am in no position to judge, because whenever I rewatch Twice Upon a Time and Clara shows up, I am just
Yeah, I know.
I just fucking bawl.
And that is 100% valid, but
yeah, so I cannot begrudge you at all for getting a little weepy when Tom Baker shows up in this, because it's a wonderful moment.
I mean, this is such clever narrative device. How do we introduce Tom Baker without upsetting the three Doctors dynamic we have going on with Hurt, Tennant, and Smith? Well, we don't have him play the Doctor, technically.
He's just like this tenuous sort of maybe future Doctor who's nostalgic on his own faces.
I've got some theories on that, which I'll get to at the end.
I do like the slight sort of it's sort of a nod to the other actors who played the Doctor who are still around, but also kind of like a bit of shade, where he says the Doctor might find himself revisiting some old faces, but just the old favorites.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny because his is the only one appearing.
Yeah.
Well, so far he's revisited 2 old faces, including Tom Baker. Him and the first Doctor, now played by David Bradley.
Yeah.
So they look at the painting, the 3D Gallifrey painting, and the whole 2 titles business is mentioned, and the curator, as Tom Baker's called and is credited for in this story, mentions that there's actually 1 title, Gallifrey Falls No More. And this makes 11 realize, then Gallifrey was saved. We did it. We actually did it. We saved the planet. But it's out there somewhere. Who knows where it might be? And, Tom Baker just does a lovely little bit of acting. Who knows? And boops his own nose.
Yes.
Nose. I love it.
There's another line that was ad-libbed. Congratulations.
Beautiful.
And it says, if I were you, maybe I was you, of course, perhaps you are me. Congratulations, just shakes his hand, and Matt Smith just says, thank you very much. That wasn't in the script.
And so the end of the story is the Doctor mentioning his dreams. Clara asking him if he ever dreams, and his dreams are of what all people dream of, going home. We get a lovely little shot of Gallifrey and all the Doctors standing there as we get the line that he's going home the long way round.
Oh, yes.
And that is Day of the Doctor.
I will say that the shot of all the Doctors standing together, it does look a bit ropey.
Well, let's be fair. There's only 3 of them who are actually real, so...
The rest are just like people in Doctor costumes with the faces mocapped onto them.
We didn't touch on this last week with the 5 Doctors, but Tom Baker didn't appear in that ultimately, but he was apparently going to appear in a pre-publicity shot, which again he didn't. And they had a waxwork dummy of Tom Baker on standby.
Oh yeah,
because he didn't show
know
up.
these shots.
Well, 30 years later, it's nice to see that dummy getting employment.
The five doctors. What anniversary was that?
20th.
Yes.
The 20th anniversary. Yeah.
20th. Okay, so he just had to wait 30 years to make up for his regret for not being in that.
Yeah.
Really?
And
So
by the way,
so that's
his involvement in this, Tom Baker's involvement, completely kept under wraps until broadcast.
cool.
There was
Big surprise.
even production people saying there are no classic doctors in this story.
Well, they're right. I mean, he's
Technically,
not
they're
playing
right,
the classic Doctor.
So
True.
may I now do a bit of theorizing about the curator
Okay,
before
go
we move on
on.
to our overall thoughts. So
Yeah.
you've obviously got the what you're supposed to the standard take, which is he is a future version of the Doctor wearing an old face, the Fourth Doctor's face, and acting as the curator and retiring. But when I did this solo review, and some people actually had to go at me for this, I had an alternative idea,
Right.
which was obviously the character of the creator is left quite ambiguous because who knows, maybe it doesn't matter either way. So I thought, what if instead of being a doctor, this is actually the moment,
I can buy it.
and telling him that you did it, Gallifrey is safe, it falls no more, and now here's what you've got to do in the future.
I saw a weird fan theory involving this sort of thing, but Rainiac, have you ever seen Tom Baker's final story?
Is that the one where he falls off an antenna?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
You know Tom Baker's final words as the Doctor.
Oh my god!
It's the end, but the moment has been prepared.
Moffat, you clever bitch.
So, I mean, maybe there's something there.
I never thought I would say this, but Moffat, why did you leave?
I ask that on a daily basis.
God.
Mood.
Anyway, sorry, I just had to get my own personal headcanon in there. But yeah, that is
Fine.
the end of a quite wonderful special.
Uh-oh. Hey, what happened to this pin?
I think the pin's going to get pulled when Kat gets to her overall thoughts.
Oh, are we gonna do? Are we gonna do? Well, we should probably save Kat for last because I really would like to discuss that part of the episode with her. But
Well, do
Ray,
you
why
want to
don't
do
you
that
go
now?
first? Or do we want to do that first, or what?
Kat, do you want to do that now and get it off your chest?
No, let's go ahead and have Christa do it. Talk about what she thought of the episode.
Absolutely,
first.
because she picked it. I'd like Krista to go first.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Watched this episode. Oh god, I think it must have been close to half a dozen times now. And every time I think it's the most perfect anniversary special they could have made. It's the story that I think exemplifies everything Doctor Who should be about, especially with the character and the meaning of their name. I think it's absolute perfection. I don't think it can be topped. I mean, you're welcome to try, but I don't think it can be.
That's well said.
Yeah,
If I may,
you may.
Yeah.
I'm in the same sort of boat. This is a very, very solid episode. And if one would call it their favorite or one of the best of all time, actually, on that poll that I keep talking about, the 2014 poll, this is the best Doctor Who story, according to them. Now, there's a bit of recency bias there, obviously, because it's the 2014 poll, but
Yeah.
I mean, they're not really wrong. Like, it's another case of broken clock twice a day, but this is one of the high watermarks of Doctor Who. An excellent anniversary story. I would call it the best anniversary story, in my opinion, because
It is.
not only does it have great interaction between the Doctors, a great plot that mirrors and reflects itself on a macro and micro level, but it also has a bold statement. The whole thing with the time. It's obviously the Time War. It's a metaphor for the Doctor Who's cancellation. C. Davies came up with as a way to clean the slate and add something to the revival. And here's Doctor Who taking that great wound of the Time War, its own cancellation, and at a point where it's the most popular thing in the world, one of the most popular things in the world, and it's finally healing that wound and undoing the end of the Time War and healing that great big tragedy at the heart of the revival and moving forward in a bold new direction. Add to that just the amazing performances from Matt Smith, David Tennant, John Hurt, and Jenna Coleman. And this is an incredible story. Just wonderful. Thank you, Christa, for picking it because perfect.
You're welcome.
So, Rain, what did you think?
You let me to go next so Kat can hold in a little bit longer?
Oh, yeah.
Because I warn you, I'm going to be a bit long, so...
That's okay.
Yeah, go ahead. Trust me, I'm going to be longer.
All I'm going to say is this. Don't burst, Kat, don't burst. Yeah, Frezno is absolutely right. This is the best anniversary by some distance. Because The Five Doctors was enjoyable, but that used fan service in a way that felt kind of tacked on. The Three Doctors is a great story in its own right. That doesn't use fan service nearly as much. I'd say that's the second best anniversary. But the fan service here is not just in there to be fan service. Some of it actually advances the plot in really meaningful ways. And the performances are just terrific throughout. I mean, obviously, the two named Doctors, Tennant and Smith, we know what they can do to the Doctor. But John Hurt, my goodness, I'm actually glad that Eccleston didn't agree to appear in this. Because of that, we got John Hurt, and he is just perfect as the War Doctor. He is one of the best, or he was, sadly, one of the best actors of his generation. And this just proves it. But then you've also got Jenna Coleman does great, acting almost as the Doctor's conscience, like the moment acts as the Doctor's conscience. There's a parallel right there. If you want to say mirror alert, you can do, but please don't interrupt my flow. Billie Piper, as Kat said, is fantastic. She is a really good actress. I don't know why people don't think she's a really good actress. This proves again that she absolutely is. She fills her performance as the moment, as the bad wolf, with emotion, but not so much emotion that it overdoes it. And then you've got the side characters. Kate's terrific. Oscar's terrific. My God, it's all terrific. What am I saying? It's just so good. I just appreciate it so much as a fan. I appreciate it so much as a writer, or at least a prospective writer of fiction. Just on so many levels, it's the perfect story. I've got to stop because I've got a lump in my throat, but it's the perfect story.
Okay. Doctor Who Mirror Alert. Whoop, whoop, whoop,
Thank you.
whoop, whoop.
Thank you for keeping it back till then.
Also, I will say one thing when you mentioned that about the anniversary stories advancing the plot and all, is the fact that the Five Doctors is the only one. Well, I guess the only anniversary story that doesn't really advance the overall arcing plot of Doctor Who. Like Three Doctors undoes the Doctor's exile to Earth, and Day of the Doctor obviously undoes the Time War, major thing there. But Five Doctors, it doesn't. It's just a standalone adventure. So I guess so. It was a fun bit of fan service, joy, but also it lacks that same sort of impact.
And it was a Children in Need special as well, which we forgot to mention last week. But
it was, well, yeah, that's nice. So
it's better than other Children in Need specials I can mention.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I guess it's time. It's finally time. The pin has been removed.
I'm just going to leave the room. Kat,
go ahead. Better known as Kat. Your thoughts, please.
The Day of the Doctor is a very, very excellent anniversary special celebrating the 50th anniversary of Doctor Who, encompassing all the years since it first began up until that point. Currently, it's about to get up to 60 years, and I'm very scared of that for one simple reason. The fact that fucking Chris Chibnall decided to destroy this entire episode in one fucking goddamn show. One episode. One fucking episode was all it took for you to destroy Doctor Who, you fucking dickwad. Okay, so this is one of those things where I agree with everything you guys said about the Day of the Doctor, but it is absolutely tainted just because of what Chris Chibnall did. Because like pretty much the entire season after the Day of the Doctor was, is the Doctor going to find Gallifrey, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So they devoted a lot of runtime of this show to him finding Gallifrey after finally realizing he was not the monster he thought he was. And it was beautiful and it was wonderful, and he finally got to find his home. And, you know, there was that huge thing in Hellbent where he got to go back and stare down Rassilon, and, you know, it's just, Gallifrey has been such a big part of the show ever since this moment up until Hellbent. And then here comes Chris Chibnall going doop-de-doop-de-doop, time to get rid of that. And decides to have the Master of all people completely obliterate all those billions of people, all those billions of Time Lords. In fact, he does it off screen. The fact he does it off screen is the part, probably one of the worst parts, because he does it for literally no reason other than the fact that he's a little bit mad that there's a bit of the Doctor inside of him. What the actual fuck, Chibnall, is wrong with you? Like, I was fine with a lot of things. I was fine with you killing Ruth, or not Ruth, Grace. I was fine with you killing Grace because that felt important to the story, and it kind of, you know, added a bit of character to the other two. I'm not okay with the whole fridging idea, but I was okay with her dying because, you know, that at least added something to the story. I was fine with Tim Shaw coming back because that added something to the story. I was fine, and I was doing well, and everything was okay, and I was not contemplating leaving the show forever. And then you put out Timeless Children. And in fact, at this moment, I'm still contemplating not watching the next season, but I'm going to do it because I want to do it. And I want to see how the hell you're going to come back from it. But Timeless Children, like, again, like I said at the beginning of this, I realize that this is a TV show. But we have years and years of continuity and story and feelings and, you know, character development that you just got rid of. And before I get mad again, Frez, you had something to say as well.
Yeah, so I mentioned in my thing that the whole Time War thing was metatextual sort of stuff, and that's how I feel about Gallifrey. Destroying Gallifrey before the revival was metatextual commentary on the Doctor Who cancel. Stephen Moffat undoing, quote unquote, the destruction of Gallifrey was again meta commentary. Doctor Who, he's saying, I don't believe that the Doctor would push the button, and also we're a popular show, and I want to heal this great wound done to the show, so I'm going to undo the destruction of Gallifrey. And it was beautiful, and it led to some great Capaldi era episodes. When you mentioned the whole arc of Gallifrey, I was thinking of the end of Death in Heaven, where he can't find it because Missy lied to him, and he just beats the TARDIS console. Moving, powerful image. And you have Hellbent, which is its own masterclass. Excellent episodes. Don't at me. And
the fact that he's sitting at the barn. He is at the barn where this special took place.
Yeah, yep. So then, and even, it's not even time to joke. Spyfall Part 2 is when it reveals, oh, Gallifrey was destroyed off screen. So, with all of that in mind, why did Chris Chibnall destroy all of Gallifrey? And there's no metatextual reason. The reason he did it was to wipe the slate and remind everybody that 2007 existed. Hey,
it's like, at least with Spyfall, we could play it off as the Master's just a dick.
Yeah, okay.
We could play that off.
Okay, you're objecting.
Timeless Children is where it's cemented the fact that the Master did this.
Yeah.
And that Gallifrey truly is destroyed again.
All for, timeless
nothing.
Bullshit. Yeah.
All for nothing.
Ultimate Ascendant and the Time Lords for a 5
And
minute
as I said in the Series 12 retrospective, when you pair that with the scaling back of the 13th Doctor's competency in the fact of stopping the villains. Remember, Ghost Sharmas pulled the grenade and saved the day in Timeless Children. And B, the deluge of David Tennant in the spin-off media. It just paints the picture of a man trying to roll back the Moffat years and be like, look, remember when the show was good in 2007? It's just like that again. Come back, please.
It's like, I'll admit, I was a big detractor of Moffat. It's like, I didn't like Forest of the Night. I didn't like some of the other episodes that they had. And, you know, I made fun of Moffat for that, along with Kachiri. However, I don't hate his run. I don't. He had fantastic episodes. He was the one who invented the Angels. I love the Angels. And the fact that this asshole decided to come in and say, oh, well, Stephen Moffat doesn't matter. Let's just erase him. He's gone. No.
Chibnall just like ignores ignoring continuity can be okay in some cases, but in Chibnall's cases it hasn't. Like ignoring all the Gallifrey stuff, or ignoring, to get another bugbear, that TARDISes are sentient.
Oh God.
Which we've seen, what, like 5 different times now that they keep saying the TARDISes are sentient?
He can't have thought about it when he was making it. He can't have.
No.
I'm going to say this right now. Chris Chibnall is not a fan of Doctor Who. He's just not. There's no way. There's no way that man is a fan of Doctor Who. In fact, by this point, I'm starting to think he hates it.
It makes me indescribably angry that he decided just ignoring the Moffat era was a sound decision to make.
Yeah.
Why, when you have all of this power before you as the showrunner, would you extend a metaphorical middle finger to your immediate predecessor? I can't understand it.
It makes no sense.
I can understand it. Hey kids, 2007.
I'm going to make a comparison to a more recent TV show. And apologies if this is inappropriate, but Killing Eve.
I don't know what that show is, so I don't know if you're being inappropriate.
I've heard of it. I've never actually seen it.
Well,
isn't that where there's a woman who's I want to say she's either a doctor or a police officer, and she accidentally makes friends with like a serial killer?
You're close, yeah. Villanelle, played by Jodie Comer brilliantly, is an assassin. And Sandra Oh's Eve is she starts off as an agent, and she's basically pursuing her to stop her from killing. But she's also attracted to her. But
okay.
The point of that show is this. It's had a different writer for the past 3 series, by design. It was Phoebe Waller-Bridge's desire that a different writer would take over every season. Right. And they do push the story in different directions, but it never loses sight of what came before it.
And so another comparison, and this is one Christa made in the
yeah, I know where this is going.
Post, which I have to bring up again, is to the Star Wars sequels.
Yeah.
Where you had J.J. Abrams. He made the first one. You know, he took his story. He set up the story like he wanted.
He did a relatively good job, in my opinion.
Well, okay. And then the second movie was done by Rian Johnson, and he decided, okay, this is what I would like to do with the Star Wars saga, and he made his movie, and it was. Well, it's divisive. I like it. I don't know how you feel about it.
And then Rise of Skywalker came up and fucked everything.
But then Rise of Skywalker comes up, and J.J. Abrams comes back and walks back Rian Johnson's stuff. And it's a hot mess.
Like,
I mean, it was supposed to be...
I could go into that as well.
Yeah, we could. I mean, the point is, it was supposed to be like Rainiac said with Killing Eve. A different writer adding their voice to the same sort of shared universe, same story, but with their own flourishes. But it got fucked up because they didn't want Colin Trevorrow to do episode 9. So J.J. Abrams had to come back, and then he basically walked back, and it was a disaster. It was a disaster.
Because spoilers for Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker, but in Last Jedi, they basically say that Rey was nobody. She's just a random person who managed to get the Force, and I was fine with that.
I love that.
Because it was something different, right? It's like she's not attached to anybody. She's her own thing. That's fantastic. And then J.J. Abrams comes in and says, nah, she's Palpatine's grandchild.
Hey, would you look at that?
And speaking of Jodie
Retconning
Comer, of course, she played Rey's mother in that film.
Oh, wow. Hey,
For
so
about 30 seconds. But yeah.
retconning a character to actually have a super secret important destiny? Or have I heard
Wow, that sounds familiar, sadly.
And I had to come to the unfortunate conclusion. Here's my hot take. Rise of Skywalker did it better than Timeless Children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I said that.
I could enjoy.
Yeah.
I went to see Rise of Skywalker, and as an experience, it was perfectly enjoyable. But
I mean, I was still mad about it when I saw it because it's
I got the
stupid.
feeling that the first half of that film was basically what The Last Jedi would have been had J.J. Abrams written the entire trilogy.
Yeah.
So he basically crammed 2 movies into one and tried to ignore.
I think he
as
basically
much
just
of
tried
Last
to
Jedi
forget that The Last Jedi ever existed.
Which is the wrong move to make.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, that being
the only
said,
part I didn't like about The Last Jedi was that whole bit where they went to the other planet. It's like, it was perfectly fine otherwise. Hot take, but you know.
Yeah, it
Gambling
does sound like
planet?
a bit of padding, yeah.
Yeah, the gambling planet.
But it gave Rose something to do, which she didn't have in the next film.
yeah. So yeah, and that I find insidious too. Like here's what's the Kelly Marie Tran.
Yeah.
She got all this hate from bigots for having a prominent role in the movie. And what did they do for Rise of Skywalker? Oh, she's got a minute of screen time.
Yeah.
There's deleted.
Never listen to the trolls.
Yeah, they
just
gave
feels
him the trolls. You're right,
insidious.
Krista.
It just feels insidious to do that.
It's like, I said this in a past one about Adric specifically, but there's a time and a place where you need to listen to your fans. And cutting out a character who may not be that popular doesn't sound like a right decision. It's like sometimes you have to roll with the punches. You have to accept that not everybody is going to like every single character that you have.
Like
it's like I'm trying to think of a good example of this that's not that show that or that book series and movie series that shall not be named. But I can't think of any at the top of my head. But it's like, if you have a character that people don't like, sometimes you got to keep that character in, even if they get slagged off online, because that's just the way that people work. And you're always going to have that asshole at the office.
Sometimes those characters come good, and they actually get really, they become beloved eventually.
Yeah.
Like, I can't remember, because it's such a long time ago now, but in the early days of Game of Thrones, I don't think Arya was that popular.
I didn't watch Game
of
Thrones.
Or does it sound like it wasn't that popular?
Neither did I.
One of the Stark siblings was not that popular. Mm-hmm. But then over the course of the next 7 series, yes, I'm forgetting series 8 is over the course of the next 7 series,
there was 8 series?
As far as I'm concerned, Game of Thrones ended on the day of the long night. That was it. There were 3 more episodes? What are you talking about? Never happened. It ended with Arya stabbing the Night King in the chest and him exploding into ice.
Ending.
Roll credits.
Yeah. But yeah, Rise of Skywalker, it tried to walk back things to please everybody and ended up pleasing nobody. Well, relative.
Yeah.
There are people who like the movie, but you know what I mean. The people who were hating Last Jedi, they weren't jumping back to Rise of Skywalker like, oh, thank God, oh, it's good again now. No, they still hated it for all the bullshit reasons they hated it.
Yeah.
Again, like Christa
and
said,
I feel it's the same way with Chibnall. Like, he's invoking 2007, but you're not getting that influx of people who quit the show on Moffat going, oh, thank God, it's good again. Because, I mean, you've got Jodie Whittaker as the Doctor, and those assholes are not going to accept the show as long as she's the Doctor.
Yeah.
And, well, fuck them. But you're not going to court the 2007 crowd back, Chibnall.
No.
It's not going to happen.
No.
They're gone.
Well, thank you everyone for listening to our Day of the Doctor podcast, which was secretly all about doing it on Chris Chibnall and Star Wars.
I mean,
well, I do have one more thing to say. One more thing to say about this. It's like, I'm a big Marvel fan, so I like comic books, and something that's a funny trope in many comic books, especially with the bigger people like Captain America and Superman, and sometimes Batman is that they die a lot and then they come back. So there's a lot of they die, they get better, they die, they get better, they die. It turns out to be a clone, so the real one's like locked up in a tube someplace. They get better, so on and so forth. You get what I'm saying.
I get
To the point where them dying is no longer the big thing that it used to be. That's why I kind of when they put that Death of Superman thing in the end of what was it, Batman versus Superman?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
When they put that in, everybody was just like, well, we know he's going to come back. I mean, this isn't really all that emotional. I mean, it's the character's thing. It's like if Goku dies, everybody's going to be like, okay, well, I have a thing at 5. When is he going to come back?
Well,
Goku's
I will
dead. See
say
you in 5 episodes, Goku.
I will say,
Yeah.
and spoilers for a 2-year-old movie, Avengers Endgame. It seems like the deaths in those are going to stick, like the permanent deaths. I mean,
Which I enjoy that. I enjoy the fact that they're actually going to stick. And if they do try to bring back the, Tony Stark and Steve as they are, I'm going to be very annoyed by
Anyone
that.
who wasn't Fennel snapped is permanently dead.
Yeah.
So that's Tony
well,
Stark
except Gamora, she came back, but it's an alternate universe. Whatever.
Yeah, it's an alternate universe.
That's not what I'm getting at. That's not what I'm getting. What I'm getting at is at a point there comes a time where you do something too much. The destruction of Gallifrey in general is starting to get that from me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, because we had it where the Ninth Doctor came in and he said Gallifrey was destroyed. That was fine. That's a tragedy that they decided to bring in. That's fine. And then they came back with the 10th Doctor special where Gallifrey was kind of not destroyed because there's this moment in time where they could come through, but then that didn't actually happen. And then there's, the Day of the Doctor special where Gallifrey's now back. And then now Gallifrey is destroyed again. So
yeah.
At this point, I'm expecting it to come back just under somebody else's showrunner.
Somebody else is absolutely going to bullshit it back just because they would like to tell Gallifrey stories, I think. So how they bullshit it back, we don't know yet.
I think it should come back.
I'm hoping I'm hoping that they come up with a fun metatextual meta-commentary reading on it.
Yeah.
When they do decide to do that, do it in a clever way, like how Davies and Moffat destroyed and brought it back.
But honestly, it's still going to be tainted because of what happened in Timeless Children with the cyber lords, I guess we're calling them.
You can't change.
Gallifrey, how are you back? I escaped.
But it's just it's like this is the reason why we're so mad at Timeless Children. It doesn't just change the idea of Doctor Who in that, now the Doctor is super special and everything. It's the fact that it literally retcons so much stuff while also not retconning it, if that makes sense.
It's like I said, the way that Day of the Doctor retcons the Time War still adds respect and lets the emotion of the Davies.
Yeah, it respects what happened before it, while also taking the story in a new direction.
Spyfall and Timeless Children coming in is like, fuck Moffat!
Pretty much.
And again, like I said, in Spyfall, you could say that it was just the Master being a dick, because it's the Master. That's what he does. Unless he's Missy, in which case he's incredible. Or she's incredible. But when this one, and you're seeing this, and it's like, just like with Ruth, we have no idea where this Master comes in. So it's like, okay, we can't believe this guy. It's the Master. He's going around shrinking people. He's, doing all this random stuff. Who cares? But once it comes to the Timeless Children, then it becomes permanent.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the problem comes in. Because it's erasing all that beautiful, wonderful history with the Moffat era and just 11 in general. And it's like you can't do that. It's like
you made John Hurt sad.
Yes.
Yeah, you made John Hurt sad. That's unforgivable.
It's like just the idea that this man is trying to destroy beautiful episodes like Vincent and the Doctor. Or the Doctor, whichever way it went around, I forget.
No, you were right the first
I'm bad
time.
with titles.
You were right the first time.
I'm bad with titles.
I know what you
Let's just say
meant,
that.
and that is a great episode too. But yes,
just the idea that he tried to erase that is so offensive to me.
Here's the thing: Moffat is not a perfect showrunner by any means. His time as the head writer is not perfect by any means. There were blips. My God, there were blips.
And we should also mention that at the same time, he was also doing Sherlock, and that was a lot.
Yeah, and that was probably part of it. But for every Forest of the Night, for every Journey to the Center of TARDIS, for every episode that wasn't received as well, there was a Heaven Sent. There was a Crimson Aura.
A Day of the Doctor.
There was a Day of the Doctor. There was a Vincent and the Doctor.
11th Hour.
Exactly. I knew you were going to pick that one, Christa.
Outweighed his strengths outweigh his weakness.
Yeah.
And it's like he made mistakes. You know, he hired people that turned out to be monsters later. We won't say their names here. You know, he hired people who wrote bad stories. And he allowed certain things through. He wanted certain things. Like, I'm still not okay with the giant Statue of Liberty being an angel.
Yeah.
But you know what? I still respect the fact that he tried. He tried to do something big and grand, and while it may not make sense in the context of the story, because people would see that, I mean, seriously, people would see that.
Yeah.
Plus the whole nature of an angel where it had to stop every time somebody looked at it, so it never move anyways.
You know,
but I digress. This isn't about that.
Yeah. You
But
know me well enough, don't you two, to know that I am a huge advocate for the Russell T Davies era.
Yes.
Yeah.
But even I can recognise there were parts of that really were not good.
Yeah.
It doesn't detract from my overall enjoyment of it. I'll still go to bat for it.
And I mean, to devil's advocate, there are episodes of the Chibnall era I really like.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me? Demons of the
Oddly
Punjab.
enough, not being written by Chris Chibnall alone.
Not written by Chris Chibnall at all,
No,
which is a big problem, yeah. But there are episodes in the era I like.
It takes you
There's
away.
Demons of the
Punjab.
Yeah. Those are all solid episodes of the show that I would stand up for.
Nikola Tesla.
Yes.
Tesla,
And of course, Fugitive Village Doom. I mean, we've mentioned Riff already, but
which works somehow
honestly,
despite.
Ruth is such a good character that it makes me mad that Jodie Whittaker's Doctor is so bad. I hate that. Oh, Ruth is such a good character. She would have been perfect.
Ruth is the 14th Doctor, all is forgiven, but she won't be.
And like,
she won't be.
Fugitive, just to touch on this briefly, is like the fact that it works is kind of a miracle, despite it's got all those problems that I'm mentioning, where it's loudly proclaiming, "Remember 2007 when the show was good." It shouldn't work.
Fugitive should not work. It should be a hot mess.
And Jack doesn't work in it, but
it isn't a hot mess somehow.
Somehow it works. I don't know how it does it.
It's like I'm going to be a little bit decisive here, and there are going to be some people out there who might hear this and they may not agree with me, and that's perfectly fine. Everybody's entitled to their opinion, no matter how wrong or how right it is.
But you're right.
Yeah, but we're right. But in my opinion, if you cannot see the flaws in something, you are not truly a fan of that thing. You're not in love with that thing. Because that's what true love is for something, is you have to be able to see the flaws and accept it as well. It's like, for our show, there are some people out there who actually do love our show and they're fans of ours. But hopefully they also see that, we're not always the best recorded of this. For quite some time, my microphone was too low. We've had, production issues, things like that. But people still stick around and we appreciate those people.
Yeah.
That's what makes a true fan in my mind, is if you can see the flaws in something but still love it.
I will go on a brief tangent here for my own sake. I do a bunch of writing long-form essays on a Magical Girl Japanese anime. And I've been I've praised them to high heaven for their utopian themes of tolerance and friendship and doing the right thing even when,
strong
making the
female
impossible
characters.
Strong female characters. But I mean, I've called a spade in those things. When these shows do like sudden shock betrayals for no reason other than they need to squeeze out an episode, or if they have like really awkward and bad sort of themes. One season of a show in particular sort of lionized abuse as like, oh well, I forgive my abuser. I became better for it, and I called it out for it because I didn't agree with it.
Also the rampant use of fan service when these girls are very obviously supposed to be underaged.
Yeah, the show I'm watching, that I'm finishing up now, is kind of a fiend for this, but it's also one of the most moving, touching shows I've ever watched. So
just as a reminder to people, Sailor Moon is 14 years old when it starts out.
I mean,
just saying.
That's not as bad as the show I'm covering right now.
Yeah, that's not as bad as other things. It's like there are other shows where they're really young.
You're like, But
looking at you, Neptunia.
Yeah. It's just, yeah, but that's the thing. That's how you accept you accept the whole package, warts and all, you know?
Yeah.
You accept, hey, this show has some bullshit in it, but its strengths overcome its weaknesses for you personally, and that's why you love it. You love it for the things that it does well, but you don't shy away from the things it does poorly.
And honestly, for the stuff that you're talking about as well, you also have to think about the cultural differences. Where there are going to be some places where these things are more acceptable, and in our Western mindset, perhaps they shouldn't be. But for them, it's still something that's every day. It's common.
And there are themes and whatnot, certain that just will resonate differently with a person of the culture that's making it, as opposed to a Western perspective. So you have to keep that in mind as well when you're talking about like anime.
Yeah, it's part of what makes judging the older episodes kind of difficult for us, because we have to keep in mind that at the time, they did certain things that were more acceptable. Like maybe they were racist in this episode, and at the time it was considered acceptable, but for us it's not.
Like if you're talking about an episode like...
You really should get that looked at.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah, I really should.
It sounds terrible.
Yeah. But, should we wrap it up, or do we have any more to add to the...
I mean, we could gush about this for hours.
I mean, well, I'm talking more of the
we could
discussion
we
could complain about this for hours, let's be fair.
Yeah, I know, but we should probably
I think for the sake of brevity, we should probably wrap it up.
It's a fantastic episode, and Kat, your feelings on the way that its legacy have been treated are valid.
I think we can safely say our feelings when it comes to this, because I think we all feel at least somewhat the same way about Timeless Children.
I don't know if I'd go so far as to say that Timeless Children destroys this episode's thematic core.
It doesn't destroy it, but it does hurt, in my opinion.
It does hurt. It causes a hurt retroactively.
Yeah.
I agree. So,
it's like Day of the Doctor will always be a fantastic episode, but remembering what has happened does dampen the joy of it.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, and that's the strange thing, because what happens to Day of the Doctor doesn't, for me, ruin the my enjoyment for the past Russell T Davies episodes.
Yeah.
And that's
because
odd how that happens with a competent writer and a competent showrunner.
Because, like I said,
it's the approach.
The story respects what's come before.
It's like, I feel like this Day of the Doctor is basically going into the history of the show and carefully cutting around it with a pair of very fine scissors, and then Timeless Children is triple going to the history of the show and taking a sledgehammer to it.
All right, people, start up the lawnmower. Let's get going.
Okay, so I guess we should sign off, but before we do that, very special thanks to our special guest, Christa Mactíre, for selecting the episode and discussing it with us. Great to have you on the show. It was lovely.
And well, really, before we do go, we also have a choice to make.
Oh, what's that?
The next episode.
But before that, I was going to say, Christa, just to thank you for being here, have you anything you'd like to plug?
Yeah.
Well, let's see. Funnily enough, my most recent Back to the 11th blog post went up posted in the other day. And it's covering the impossible astronaut in Day of the Moon. Going to send a link to all of you, and Rainiac can put it in the show notes.
I will certainly do that.
And I've read it, and it's fantastic. Oh
Yes,
my gosh,
excellent.
seriously.
I've also
Thank
read it.
you.
It's brilliant.
As a silent conspiracy theorist, I endorse this post.
I'm glad you like it.
But seriously, I don't think we can praise you enough, Christa. You are a fantastic writer. You're a fantastic person. And everybody, go follow her. She's fantastic on Twitter. She's
Yeah.
Go buy her book. I know we've made it into a meme, but we sincerely mean it. Her book is fantastic.
Such a good book.
Just so good. Like you are a wonderful person. You're wonderful.
Oh.
And if this went on far too long for you, Christa, I can only apologize.
Oh, it's all right. It's my day off. I didn't have anything else to do today.
That's a very
good.
diplomatic answer. Thank you for that.
So, with the promotion of our
You
special
three.
guest,
Talking to you three is. I think it's safe to say that you three are my friends. In the short time that we've known each other.
That means a lot, Christa, so thank you.
Right back at you.
And
So,
we are so happy to be that.
Yeah. Oh.
next time then.
And
What
our hearts
are we
grew
doing
three
next
sizes that
time?
day. Next time, then, I believe you have the floor, Frezno.
I have the floor, huh?
Oh, I don't get to choose?
Well,
I thought technically your choice was giving Christa
if
your
you'd like to
choice.
have a choice, that's fine.
I mean, I would like to have a choice because I have something special in mind.
Okay.
Oh.
I
also
also
have
to
something
push
special
that
in
back
mind,
for a
but we
week,
can
then, Frez.
All right. Well, that's fine. Well, I will say, you guys know the rule of three in comedy.
Oh
Yeah.
no.
Like how say Rain would set something up on one week and Kat would set something up the next week.
Yeah.
Next time on Doctor Who Reviews, it's Frontiers. Haha, Mike.
Funny story. Guess what my choice actually is?
Is it really?
Yeah?
Yeah.
Hey.
I'm actually picking Frontios.
Hey, Kat. Do you know
Yeah.
what my choice was going to be?
Frontios.
Frontiers. There was no way he could escape.
So when I told him to take a week off vacation, I was right. I love it.
Oh boy. So for context, Christa, we have a friend of the show, Michael Hoovian. He likes our stuff, but one of his least favorite episodes, for some reason, is the Peter Davison 1984 story, Frontiers. So next time we are going to delve into it and see if it's worth the dislike.
I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah. Next time
It's written
Sorry,
by
Mike.
yeah.
Next time
It's
we're
written
doing
by
reviews,
Christopher H. Bidney, who was showrunner for Tom Baker's final series, and added in all that weird shit like Warrior's Gate. So I'm expecting good things. So, where can we find all these lovely people, Rainiac?
Okay, so you can find our guest Christa Mactíre on Twitter at ChristaWolf94.
94.
Yeah, ChristaWolf94. Thank you for bringing me out there. I'm breaking before our eyes. You can find me if you so wish at Rainiac. You can find Jerry at FreezingInferno and Ken at ConcaveUsurper. Keep it together, man. You can find the show. You can contact us on Twitter at ReviewsDoctor, or you can send us an email at goandstoneityourself@gmail.com. And join us next time when we end a friendship.
We built a friendship in this podcast, and now we're going to burn the...
Funnily enough, there is this really great song that there's recently been like a reemergence of this because of TikTok or something. Who cares? But it's called Jenny, and it literally has a line in it called "I want to ruin a friendship."
Jenny,
and that's all I can think of now.
Not 8675309, Jenny. So.
No, different Jenny.
And now all I can think of
Cat
is
is desperately trying to hold back the giggles.
867 Theo.
8675309.
She might be trying to hold it back. I'm not. I can't.
I think that's how that voice went.
Oh my god.
I don't even remember, but
Oh, stop the pain.
Say goodnight, Rainiac.
Yeah.
Good night, Rainiac.
Good night. And we'll see you next time for Frontios.
For real, this is not a bit. This is not a joke.
Michael, I'm so sorry.
You know what? Since we somehow accidentally decided to troll Mike at the same time, this will be absolutely your pick, Frez. I'm relinquishing it.
Oh, sure. Oh god. I can feel the shove towards the bus from here.
I meant more in line with us counting who's going to go next.
Oh, our next game of Among Us, when this podcast comes out with Mike involved, is going to be amazing.
Oh, we're gonna get murdered so many times.
He won't even be the imposter. We'll still get murdered somehow.
Yeah, he'll call the button. It's them.
He'll just vote all
it'll be
three of us
okay.
at once somehow.
I'll pull a Rainiac and I'll promote Krista's book and then yeet myself out the airlock.
Look,
Okay.
sometimes
Anyway,
there are moments.
good night, everybody.
There are moments in time where you have to do things for the sake of comedy, and that was one of them.
And it was perfect.
Anyway,
As he says, good night, everybody. We'll see you next time for Frontiers. Don't kill us, Mike. Until then, bye for now. That's an ice cream truck. What the hell? There's an ice cream truck outside.
Yeah, I have one too. It goes around playing cucaracha super loud.
Back the one that goes around mine sells meth.
Well, at least it's not a motorbike this time, but that's still going the blooper reel. How you doing, blooper reel?
Hi. Hope you like the show.